Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Hey, hump day!
Hey!
What's up, Wednesday crew?
Hey!
Tyvus in the hot seat today. Wow, you got the moves today, huh? What's your kick game?
Infrared sixes,
Tight.
infrared sixes, little something slight. I ain't want to do G too bad.
When G said he's out in the game?
Yeah, he's tapped out of the kick competition.
Did you say that?
He's out.
You quit?
Hey, you see that brand new
my
Spanklin,
God.
a beautiful
He's got a new
blue
car.
Range Rover
I
in the
didn't
parking
check.
lot?
Hold on, I didn't check that.
I gotta gracefully bow out the game, and I was really gonna go overtime on you. I couldn't really get like I wanted to get because I had to sign that peace treaty with my wife. She said, you know how you be getting them boxes that come to the crib? We can't even do that no more. I was gonna say.
She bought him a car.
I
respect that. Trade.
Yeah, I
By the
won that trade.
I'm at Browns camp yesterday. 3 people asked me, the first thing they asked me was about your new car. Heard G's got a new car.
That is crazy.
It's hot talk on the street.
It's in the street? Like for what?
You know what
Jonathan Peterlin goes, G got a new car, huh?
Lord, well, see, here's the thing. Y'all not going to gas me up. These people, this is how they'll do you, right? This is how they do you. You got a new car. My price limit and your price limit different. See, you can get one thing at a time if you go where I'm from. You get a house and then you wait it out.
Yeah.
You either get you a car
Yeah.
or you wait it out.
Yeah.
Y'all cats be getting all 3. I'm going to get me a boat, a house, and a car. What off what? Where that down?
No, that's 3 different levels. There's one. Level one is either a house or a car.
Yes.
Level 2 is a house and a car. Level 3 is J level, where you get all 3.
Yeah,
Well,
It's a lifetime of hard work. That's what it is, guys. I wasn't rolling like this when I was 25.
Fair. You
My-
worked hard.
My first 3 years in the business, I was well below the poverty line.
Nobody's
Jay,
begrudging your success. I'm just saying.
Right.
You've
Jay,
reached
what was
that
your
level.
first-
I feel like I'm a bit of a target
No,
here.
question this because
$12,500 a year.
12,500. What year was that?
1987.
Man.
By today's standard, that'd be like making
Yeah.
25,000.
My first job in Tennessee, 24.
There you go.
Well, I can't
And
really-
know-
15.
And I know the market that you started in. It was a
Jesus.
sister adjacent market to where I started.
Wait a minute.
Bro, it was tough,
My
man.
first year, my first job ever, getting paid $450,000.
Go
I
home.
thought he was going to say
Hey,
like he
Tyvus,
worked in a
go home.
grocery store. when he was 15 or
Hey,
something.
Steve, can you cut his mic for the rest of the show?
Tough life, bro.
I got
It was
every.
rough.
I got every.
Well, that's not in the NFL. That was at Ohio State under the table.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was on the recruiting business.
No.
Yeah, that was when he was in high school.
Hold on, wait
That
a
was
minute.
just his money to
Wait
come
a
to Ohio
minute.
State.
Put the camera on me, Steve. I need to let the world know. We were on probation, so there was
so you
no
weren't getting any-
scamming or anything going on.
No free tats?
We was watched closely by the NCAA by any move. We was coming right after the tag gate, so there's no money given.
See, the bad thing about your gig, though, is you start at the top.
Yeah.
and then you go down.
In this business, you basically work for food.
18.5 was my first
And then
job.
you work your way up.
Yeah.
Now you're in this business and you're going to bust the glass ceiling soon. That's my prediction.
I
For you.
was working for Chips and Meals last week. Like, you're gonna twist it. Y'all cats talking about,
Put the sign up.
like, what you
Working for
talking
meal
about?
money.
We'll be featured on your podcast on food.
Your sign says, have food, I have sports opinions.
Yeah, right,
So he stands on the street corner, and for a sandwich, he'll tell you his thoughts on the Brown situation.
And it'll be a good one too.
I'll be working 9. I was working 9 hours a week trying to get. Stop the games, bro.
Man, the key when I was doing minor league play-by-play was like that meal money. When we got the meal money on the bus,
Oh, that made a big difference.
That was it.
Quick tease for today's show. Obviously, we're on Deshaun Watson watch. Everybody's been following the news. We're on pins and needles. Could happen any minute now. My guess is it will happen by business end of today. Callie Brownson is going to join the program. If you've heard the name, here's where you've heard it. She is the Browns' chief of staff. She is also the Browns' assistant wide receiver coach. But most recently, she was the head coach of the women's team that just won the IFAF World Championship. They beat Great Britain, the United States, 42-14. She was the head coach of that outfit. She's going to join us to talk about her experience there. We're also going to get into some Browns issues with her. She's in the wide receiver room every day, so she's going to give us great insight on that. Also, the Browns' Week 1 opponent, everybody knows it's the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
We talk so much about speculation. What's going to happen with Watson and all this nonsense? I thought, just for a nice little respite of all of that talk, let's talk Week 1. Let's get into what the Panthers look like.
Yep.
How do they match up with the Browns? Jim Szoke is their play-by-play man. He has broadcast every single Carolina Panthers game in their history. He's getting ready to start their 28th season. He's a Cleveland native, a huge Cleveland sports fan, and he's also a longtime friend of mine. We went to Bowling Green together, graduated together. Jim joins us coming up in the program. And, of course, it's Wednesday, so Leroy Hoard is here.
Yes, sir.
And that's all I need to say about Leroy. The preacher will be in the building.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we got to dive into yesterday reports were running rampant. I was getting text after text after text from folks that have been deep in this for almost 2 years saying the end is here.
And I was at camp yesterday, Jay, and I heard two different people said to me, I expect it to happen today. Now, obviously, it didn't happen today. Two different people with two different sources, two people I highly trust, both said to me they're getting close.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And take it to the next level. What are you hearing that we're going to get?
Well, I asked both of them that question. Neither one had a really good answer. They were just kind of speculating like the rest of us. No. They both thought 10 or 12 games and a huge fine.
Right.
Everybody seems to think this is much more about the fine than even the games.
It is.
But the good news about a potential settlement, if it happens, is we know that if there is a settlement, Deshaun Watson will play at some point this year.
Yes.
Because he's never going to
never settle to be out for the entire season.
Yeah.
So the first text I got yesterday said, end is near, big financial piece.
Right.
So, as you said, I think that was the thing that everybody was most kind of struck by when Sue L. Robinson issued her report and her decision. Wait, no fine? And I think a lot of people had a lot of problems with that because he's now the highest paid, guaranteed paid player in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think the league didn't like the optics of the fact that he wasn't going to write a check to a charity, to the league's charity. So a big financial component is my expectation. Also, I heard two different conflicting stories yesterday. One was the settlement is still in the works. The league would rather settle than get to Peter C. Harvey. The other thing I heard was Peter C. Harvey is either close or has his decision, and he's giving the league and the NFLPA a buffer here before he makes his announcement or he hands his decision over to the league.
Right.
Which is true? I have no idea. It's possible neither are true because there have been so many reports throughout the length of this story that have been accurate, and we've known that some have been inaccurate too.
I would think that he had his decision made because this was it's not like he's reviewing any new evidence. Like everything that he needed to see was right there already. So I think he does have the decision ready. He's just trying to buy them some time since they finally decide to, because before this Deshaun Watson, we ain't settling anything. The NFL was all on their indefinite.
Right.
If they finally can sit down at a table and have a conversation, I think you got to respect that. Give them a little bit of time to this is the first time that y'all two actually is coming to a table to try to figure something out. So I think he's doing a great job of sitting back and say, hey, I'm going to give y'all an opportunity to work something out. If y'all can work it out, then cool. I don't even need
We go our separate ways.
I don't even need to say anything.
Last week, the report came out, and we all talked, we all agreed that it made Deshaun look desperate, that his camp said he would be willing to accept an 8-game suspension and a pretty hefty fine as well.
Yeah.
One of the things that struck me yesterday about this was the NFL, we talked about how the NFL has always won these cases. When the NFLPA sues in federal court, they've always won. The NFL has never lost. And I think that the expectation is that they would win this case too.
Yeah.
Just if you go on precedent and history and the fact that this is a collectively bargained agreement. One of the things that I told someone yesterday that I hadn't really thought of before, but the NFL loses if this goes to court. And that's why they're now pushing for a settlement. I think they waited until the 11th hour. They never wanted this thing to go to court because if it does go to court, the first thing the NFLPA is going to do is they're going to ask for discovery in the Houston Texans piece of this whole thing. So you've got a team and an owner that have already written a check to 30 women. You've got a player that's written a check to 23 women. What's going to happen to the team? if you're going to suspend the player for a year and hit him with a huge fine, what's going on with the team? And that's where the league loses if it goes to court.
Yeah, you said this, and I totally couldn't agree with you more. As I sit back and look at it, guys, the NFL could win. They could win going into a court battle, and whatever arbiter or judge comes in front of this case could say, you know what, you guys right. You guys did win this. Deshaun Watson will let you do the indefinite suspension or whatever you want. However, they lose at the same time because you're going to go in front of a judge, and the most obvious thing that they're going to do is if this is a process thing and this is a contract issue, the league and the Players Association have a right to say, okay, well, unless we know what they did in the Texans situation, how do we know this process warrants an indefinite suspension, or how can we compare the two to see if everything is equal?
Because this is the same crime.
This is the same thing.
It's not like Robert Kraft versus Deshaun Watson. The Texans have already pretty much admitted that they're a part of this entire crime.
So the thing is, they could eventually get out of it, but here's the thing. You're now going to have information about the same types of things that Deshaun Watson was doing. Right. And then people are going to say, wow, an organization was handing out NDAs? How many times have they handed out NDAs? How often did they know? Did they have any information? All of this stuff now comes out, and now the process is, guess what? All of that is in the court of public opinion, just like it was with Deshaun Watson, and I don't think they want no problems.
I think the biggest thing beyond all of that is if this goes to court, then it just drags everything out further. Mm-hmm. And I think the league, even though they appealed to keep it going, they're sick of this story. They want the story to be about, you just said, we want to talk to this guy from the Panthers about on the field. Well, there's very little talk about on the field, not just in Cleveland, because this Deshaun Watson story is the biggest story in the NFL. Everybody's talking about it.
And that's not fair to the other 31 teams and the other 600 plus.
You are
teams.
right about that.
So if this story, if they can settle this week, then the story's over.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll
get our stories
again.
about it. We'll get it, but it'll be over.
Right.
And the thing is, it's not like you can say, well, if it goes to court and he eventually loses and he gets suspended indefinitely, well, the fans will be happier. But that's baloney, because there's always going to be some fans that are going to be angry no matter how this turns
Absolutely.
out. Even the people that want Watson suspended for a long time, even a year won't be enough. Some people think he should be banned from the league. So the only way to move on from this is for the story to end. And the only way for it to end for sure is if they agree to what the suspension/fine should be.
Yeah.
That's why both sides, it makes sense for that to happen.
Tyvis, we had been talking all along about are they talking, who does it behoove to settle? Mm-hmm. And I had always maintained that it would be in Deshaun Watson's best interest to settle.
Yep.
But the league why would the league settle when ultimately they could have, if Roger Goodell didn't appoint Harvey as the designee, they could have decided this entire thing. When he passed it off, that was the first time in my mind that I said, this is really interesting in terms of the NFL suddenly being interested in a negotiated settlement. Because otherwise, if they weren't going to settle and they didn't want to do a negotiation, he never would have handed it off to Harvey. And ultimately, he knew it would have ended up in court.
That's a really big piece, because he could either give it to Harvey or make the decision himself.
Right.
If he was hard pressed on making a decision and he wanted a year, all he had to do was
done it.
he could have taken it for Sue Robinson, gave it to himself, and say, okay, you're suspended a year. We already know what the facts are.
But he knows if he did that, see in court.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have discovery on the Houston Texans side of this whole thing. You're going to also get other cases that the NFLPA wants to look at. How the Washington situation was handled, how the Robert Kraft situation was handled. And the last thing the league wants, they may win in court, and the history tells us they would, but they would lose in the court of public opinion, and that seems to be the court they care most about.
Let me throw this out there. So it's been reports that the NFLPA is mad at the NFL because he decided to appeal it, because we'll put it in the deal, but we'll never do that. And then they did it. And they said that the relationship is tarnished between those two. Do you think if they can reach a settlement where it's not the full year, that maybe that could be a way to
it's a step
get the relationship
rebuilding
back?
a bridge?
Or you think it's over with?
But it as a player. The players hate Goodell and they hate the owners, don't they? I mean, it's been contentious.
Yeah, but Adam, his question, correct me if I'm wrong, I think your question is, right now the relationship looks like it's irreparably damaged.
Yeah, it's gone.
I thought it was already before.
However,
this.
No.
I think that's everybody's connecting the dots that the next thing that's coming is a year-long suspension. If there's a stand down here and Roger and the league agree to a negotiated settlement that's, let's just call it 10 games and $7 million, arbitrarily picking those numbers out of the sky. I've heard those from no one. Let's just say that's what it ends up being. At least, in my view, if you're the league, you can go to the NFLPA and say, look, we didn't give him what we wanted. We gave a little, you gave a little. Now let's repair this relationship.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Think so? I don't buy that.
I mean, it's a possibility. At the end of the day, when the new CBA come out, it's going to be they got to get that out of there.
But that's
for sure.
7 years. That's
what I'm
8
saying.
years
But right,
from now.
there's no point of them feuding for 7 years.
Right,
they
right.
might as well try to
Right.
work together at least to get to the end of this.
Don't you think most of the players think he shouldn't even be suspended 6 games? In reality, I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
There's a group of players that probably.
I'm about to say
It's like the general population, Bull. I really believe it is. I think you've got guys that are in the league that thinks what he did is reprehensible and he should be suspended a year. I think there's also guys that look at what he did and say, you know what, he didn't break any laws.
Yeah.
He's made this right with the women financially. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So and it's just like general population.
I think this is why I pay attention to politics, right? Because it's entertaining, it's strategy, right? So sometimes politicians, have you ever wondered why certain politicians can do certain things and it just doesn't seem to stick, but other ones do minor things and they're just gone. They just get banished. Well, there's people behind them that are calculating this. They're looking at certain things. They're reading tea leaves. They're judging what the fallout will be. And the worst thing that you can do as a politician is read the room wrong. I think the lawyers for both the NFL Players Association as well as the league came back and said, guys, hold on, calm down. You guys are reading the room wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's a good point.
I think you guys are handling it. You're willing to die on this hill.
Right, that's the key.
This is the hill. We got through CTE. We got through. We're working on the Rooney Rule, right? We got through deflate. We got through all these things.
Added a 17th game.
17. Are you willing to die on this hill? Because at the end of the day, if we go and we come up with a settlement, the season's here.
Yeah.
The games will start, and people won't even
forget
remember.
about
It'll be over.
That's why I
people
said,
won't care.
It's like the Bay of Pigs. You know, you've got these two superpowers that are ready to rip each other's faces off, and at the end of the day, they realize, let's just peacefully coexist.
Yeah.
You know what? They've got a great thing going. In professional sports worldwide, they're probably second just to soccer in terms of fan base and money generated, and I don't even know if they are second to soccer in money generated. They've got to be right there with them. I think you're right. I think lawyers that aren't so close to the fire that they
Emotional about it.
They're not so emotional about it. They
Yeah.
probably said, "Look, man, we're talking dollar signs with a B in front of it.
What are you guys
we're
doing?"
talking billions.
Yeah.
You're willing to over a guy that got massages and may have been a little aggressive towards these women. You're willing to let all of your secrets come out into the open?
There's no way. There's no way. You're
It's not worth it.
You're printing money. You are printing.
Yeah, just keep the train
just-
moving.
And what we talk about all the time, what could stop the NFL? We always look and forecast. Baseball and basketball have different issues that they have, but football, for the most part, looks like if
It's on autopilot.
If the concussion thing didn't get him, what's going to get him? And usually what happens is your own hubris, your own from within. It comes from, you ever see somebody have a band? You know what I'm saying? The band is going good. We all in the band. We making millions. We touring. We sold 5 million. And then one dude is like, I think I want to write my own songs. And they're like, bro, your songs ain't that good. Why you want to do it? Just stick right here and get this money. I don't care.
Keep it going, man.
You the
Keep it
star?
going.
Who cares? Do I still get paid to go on tour? Sure. I don't care whose name on the record.
Bull, Bush, it's like G. Bush, it's like history. When you study history and civilizations, great civilizations, they almost always topple from within.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's odd to look at the NFL going face to face with its players association, and that's the term that we've used. This is the hill.
This it?
This is it. Because that'd be a hell of a last story. and so would the NFL die? No.
It'd be damaged for sure.
It would be severely damaged because I'm telling you, the league does not want all these secrets out in the public.
Yeah.
They don't want all those Washington email out. They don't want.
It's too much.
It's all
Whatever.
stupid. This idea, like, what drives me nuts is, and somebody said it to me again yesterday. Well, if it only ends up being 8 games in a settlement, it's going to be a bad look for the NFL.
How?
So what?
How
a
is
bad
that a
look
bad
from who?
look?
People are writing the columns about how Deshaun Watson's the worst person on the planet. We'll still write those columns, whether you give them 8, 6, 10, 12 games.
And then they'll
it's
move
not
on
gonna
to the
matter.
next victim.
Why
That's
is it-
right. And then they'll go to the next story, and everybody will move on, and there'll be 15 people who won't watch football again, and that's it.
And it still will be, and to counter that argument, it's still 2 grand juries that still found him completely innocent. So
No,
like
that's
not innocent.
that's
okay,
Not
not innocent,
innocent.
but not.
They didn't find that the level of
Exactly.
evidence raised to charges.
I always look at that as, am I going to jail or am I coming home? Or I'm coming home, that means I'm cool. Like, that for me, for the person involved.
Here's the thing, though. We don't have double jeopardy, but they can easily seat another grand jury.
Yeah.
Easily. So it's not like he's like, whew, bullet dodged. You don't know what's going to happen you don't know what evidence exists that neither of those grand juries saw. We don't know that.
Right.
I know that Tony Busby's contention was they didn't get charges because the prosecutors didn't want them. Prosecutors, as we know, take cases that they know they can win.
Yes.
And also cases that can benefit them politically, let's face it.
Let's be
And I
honest,
don't see
though,
how
guys.
that case would have benefited a prosecutor
Yeah.
in Harris County to bring charges against the local hero.
But let's be honest, nobody cares about it anymore.
No, they
Nobody
don't.
cares.
They don't.
We all want to know when he's going to play. Most people don't care. I think we've all decided what he did and what he didn't do.
Right.
So everybody's got their own opinion. Most people, just like with politics, are not changing their mind.
No.
We've decided how bad he is between 0 and 10, and now we want to know when he's going to play.
I think Bull brings up a good point. If you just take the emotion out of it, you can say, okay, what if you've done something wrong, what way can you make amends? Well, you can pay a monetary fine, right?
Yeah.
He's going to pay a fine.
It's going to cost him a lot of money.
He's already done the settlements,
And
too,
we don't
on top
know
of that. We don't know how much.
We don't
that
know how
is.
big those checks were.
And on top of it, they said, okay, well, you going to go to counseling? He said, yeah, I'm going to counseling. They said, are you going to settle? Yes, I've already settled. Are you going to publicly apologize? Well, that ain't what you wanted, but he apologized. So as we go down the list of things, what is there left?
There's one civil case.
There's one civil
Right.
case.
That's it.
What is it left for him to make amends with? It's just, I mean, it is what it is at this point.
He's doing a lot to try to pay it all back, but to a lot of people, it'll never be enough. And it's sad.
Well, in fairness, he's doing it because he has to.
Well,
He wants to,
it's because he has to.
He
but
knows he's got to walk through those
Yeah.
holes to get to the other side.
Right.
Let's ask this, guys, as we look at Adidi's tweet, and this is what his text was from his apology interview that he gave to Aditi before Friday's first preseason game. Let's just sort of move it on by
Before you
saying
do,
this.
Jay, real
Okay,
quick,
go ahead.
with Aditi's, I reminded me, I should have brought this up earlier, but I spoke to Aditi about that interview with Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson.
What'd she say?
And obviously, I said to her, I said kudos to you because you were in an impossible spot.
Set up move.
Because I know you want to ask more questions, but in that role, you're working for the Browns, so
Yeah.
you can't ask a million questions and light Deshaun Watson on fire in that situation because
Right.
in that moment you're working for the Browns. But she said to me that he did not get the questions in advance. I know a lot of people thought that he was prepped on the exact thing she was going to ask him.
Right.
That's not the case.
You don't need to be. You know what's coming.
He knew that there was going to be a question about
An intelligent person knows what's going to be asked.
right, but some people were accusing her or accusing the Browns, and I'm happy to crush the Browns when necessary. Of like they staged that question. They knew exactly. He was prepared. He didn't know exactly what she was going to ask. Now, obviously, he knew.
I don't think Aditi would have taken part in that.
She absolutely would
And
not.
I wouldn't either.
She absolutely would not have, and he didn't know that. But some people were kind of insinuating that, and I just want to clarify that that's not true. And she did say, for whatever it's worth, you don't care, whatever, that she did get to talk to him off the air, and that he came off well in that off the air conversation.
Genuinely contrite.
Yes. And her conversation with him was like, she's told me about a player or two over the years. I won't name any names where like she was kind of felt yucky after talking to a player.
Oh yeah, we've
and
all
that
had
was
those
not the
experiences.
case. And that was not the case.
Good.
with
I'm glad
Deshaun
to hear
Watson.
that. I think
Yeah.
first of all, I think Aditi did the best she could in that spot.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there were a couple of people that criticized her, and they can go bleep themselves.
Yeah, I have some friends that know that she works with us in
Yeah.
a role here, and they were asking me about the moving parts behind the scenes. And I said, honestly, I've had 0 conversations with Aditi about it. I don't need to. This is what I told my friends that were, and I don't want to say critical, they were just asking me like what I knew about the back story.
Right.
And here's what I said. I don't need to ever question Aditi. Ever. And
Right.
quite frankly, I don't think anybody in this business needs to. There is nobody that I can think of that would be less inclined to do that than Aditi. Aditi, I'm sure she did it. It's her job. She had to do it.
Yeah.
But like me, if they would have said, here's what you're going to ask and there will be no follows, I would have politely said, give the interview to someone else. I can't do that.
She basically had 2 choices. Either not ask about it at all, which
Or
would
don't
look
do the
bad,
interview.
Or don't do the interview, or ask one question about it, because it was a quick interview.
I think she did the exact right thing. My defense of Aditi, and she does not need defending, you're right. Anybody that wants to criticize Aditi, you're just looking for something. But what I was saying to the people that reached out to me was, look, she's working for the Browns, yes. The interview had to be done. He had to say something.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't talked to her, and I will never ask her anything about it because I know that whatever was done is on the up and up. Because she wouldn't participate in anything that wasn't 100% journalistically, ethically sound. And I'm sure she stands by that, and I'm glad she does. Quite frankly, I know that there was a lot of people that says, well, why didn't she hit him with a follow? And I understand. As I was watching it, I said on Monday the word I used was it was a little cringy for me, only for her, because I know she wanted to ask a follow.
Yeah.
I know she did.
She did.
But in that spot, you can't do it. It can't happen.
I don't. To me, I don't really. I'll just admit, I don't understand journalism. I don't really get it. Like, not that like I'm demeaning it. I just don't so for me, going into it, right, I would know asking a person that question, I would already know what answer he's going to give me. So if I ask a follow-up question along the same lines of what I just asked, I'm not expecting to get a different answer. It'll be some variation.
But you have
of
to
it.
probe.
Yes.
You have to. When somebody issues a vague apology.
So explain, because I think a lot of people, this is a good conversation, because I think a lot of people don't understand between journalism and like opinion stuff on the radio.
Right.
So when you're talking, like when we're interviewing people think an interview is an interview. But no, it's different. When you're interviewing somebody in the field like that, there's a different line of questioning that you kind of have.
Also, if you're working for the team versus...
What is the difference here?
That's a great question. Here's the big issue that I have. Today, you can't avoid what I've always called state-run media. Well, so what's state-run media?
Right, yeah.
So you remember the old Soviet Union and the TASS news agency. Mm-hmm. That was nothing more than
I
the
don't know about the
propaganda
old, it's still like that in Russia.
It is, but it's a different. Trust me, it was much more iron-fisted in the old days. China's very similar to the way the old Soviet Union used to be. But the reason that state-run media has a negative connotation to it is, I love the NFL Network as a fan, as a viewer, but I also have a certain level of expectation of things I'm never going to hear on the NFL Network.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. You're never going to hear an NFL Network panel discussion about is the league doing the right thing by the players with CTE. They're not going to go there.
Right.
Not at all.
The MLB Network is not going to go to the area of, okay, Tatis is positive. Judge is going to possibly hit 65 home runs this year. History has told us you guys don't do that. Are steroids back in baseball? You're never going to hear that discussion.
Or they're not going to criticize the
They're not going to criticize the commission and the league.
Right.
So that's kind of state-run.
Yeah.
Well, I worked for the Browns for 2 years when I called their preseason games. There is a level of expectation when you step into that role that you're going to set your journalism hat aside. And I fanboyed. All I was doing was, are you kidding me? I get an opportunity, and I knew it was only going to be for 2 years because I knew I was coming to Channel 3, and I knew the games were on Channel 5, and I knew there was no way in hell I would be able to continue doing the games on Channel 5 as a Channel 3 employee.
Right.
So for me, it was like, this is like a 2-year kid in a candy store, one-off.
And you knew what you were getting into, otherwise you wouldn't have done it.
I did. So in some of the preseason games, we'd have John Dorsey sitting next to us. I'm not going to say to Dorsey during that interview, I need you to explain to fans who have a problem with this move why you would bring a guy like Kareem Hunt into this organization. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, no.
But so I had to take my journalism hat and put it to the side and fanboy out, and that's what I did.
Yeah, and the tough part about that is there's so much league and now team media that when anybody asks a tough question, like, I don't know if you saw this over the weekend, but the president of, so this guy, I don't even know who the guy is, but there's a sports reporter in Washington, D.C., who was interviewing Carson Wentz. And I don't know if any of you guys saw this.
I don't think so.
He asked him two tough questions that were tough, but not inappropriate at all.
Right.
And the second one was a little harsh the way he asked it, but he was like, the Colts already got rid of you. The Eagles, they were done with you too.
So it's a pointed question.
Yes. And the president of the Washington football team, I can't think of his name, put out a tweet is like, this was totally unprofessional. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's...
He just because they used to having their ass kicked by the team media.
Yeah, and so now because there's team media
right.
with the Browns,
yes.
There's league media, the NFL Network. I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
ESPN is state-run media.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And here's why. They're in business with Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, NFL.
Yep.
They shut down projects, big projects that were looking into CTE.
Yes.
They shut it down at the league's behest. And they basically were told, enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and so let's, on the big scale level, CBS is in the NFL business. Fox Sports is in the NFL business. ESPN and by de facto ABC is in the NFL business.
Right.
NBC. They're all in the end. So what they were in a world now where they control most of the media narrative.
Right.
Yep.
And when there's an independent journalist who's not under their thumb, who is critical, they go nuts.
Unprofessional.
They go nuts, and
it's
they try
ridiculous.
to shut that down
it's ridiculous.
too.
The Browns
all right.
get mad at me too.
Our first guest is on the line, so that means we have an ad read.
We do have an ad
Nuggets,
read.
It's all you.
And just so everyone knows, Scott Abraham was the reporter in that Washington situation.
Okay, you know what I do remember?
And
I saw
Jason
that
Wright
headline.
is the team president who then clapped back.
I saw the headline. I
Yeah.
didn't click on it, but
Right.
when you mentioned that name,
He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah.
All right, well, now we
that's
have
insane.
Coach Brownson joining us via the Gridiron Guys hotline. Are you looking for a local roofer you can trust? Family owned since 2003, the Gridiron Guys have grown to become Northeast Ohio's top-rated roofers. They exemplify quality work practices and are a valued resource for homeowners. And they offer a 10-year workmanship warranty as well. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate or roof inspection.
Gridiron guys.
Well done, Bull. Callie, welcome to the program, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We're glad you joined us. Great to see you. And I got to start by saying congratulations on you won 2 world championships, if I'm not mistaken, as a player, but now you've done it as a head coach. How do the two compare? I think your mic might be muted.
We don't have her audio.
So take if you can, throw your mic on for us.
We were getting audio in pre-check. We had audio from Coach a second ago.
Okay. I'm not sure if her mic is muted or
Let's
if
punch
it's-
back
if
up,
it's on
Jay, and
our
we'll
end.
troubleshoot this. But we
Yeah.
did have audio from her 1 second
Okay, we'll
ago.
figure it out. Callie, if you can hear us, we're not hearing you, so I don't know if that means your mic is muted or what. You may want to check that out. While she troubleshoots that, I want to quickly say, because I was reading up about this to try to see exactly how big a deal this is.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that worldwide it's becoming a much bigger deal. I think in 2013, U.S. won the first one. The U.S. is never going to lose this.
Not anytime soon.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to say.
No, in 2017 they won. She was a player on both of those teams. I think
didn't
it
know
was
that.
pushed from 21 to 22 because of COVID. So it's here now. But it seems like participation worldwide in the women's football space is growing. And it also seems like the interest is
Jay, we
growing
got
too.
the issues fixed. By the
We
way,
have Callie
Coach is back. And
okay,
we should
Callie,
be able to
great.
hear now.
The technical gremlin has been solved. How did the two compare for you? Winning 2 as a player, but now winning 1 as a head coach.
Yeah, I think they were 2 completely different experiences for me. Obviously, as a player, it's very special. It's awesome to be able to represent your country, playing the sport that you love. But coming in as a coach, it's just completely different for me. And it was an awesome experience. Ultimately, winning the gold always feels great, no matter what you're doing, whether it be a coach or a player. But just an incredible opportunity for me to lead these women and use really my experience as a player to help make this the best opportunity it could be for the 45 women who are on the roster.
Callie, when you look at this sport, did you ever think at one point in time this would be possible to even have this much interest in the sport, to be able to do this and have an all women league when you were growing up? And I think as far as back as 2017, did you think this is possible?
Yeah, I mean, growing up as a kid, no, I'll be honest with you. As a young girl, there was no female representation in football in any capacity. I played when I was 8, and I was like the only girl in the state of Virginia who was even playing Pee Wee football at the time. So, I guess if you'd asked me back then if I ever thought, 1, women would be playing football at a high level, or 2, representing their country in that capacity, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But I think that says a lot for how much the sport has grown. And even back when I was in high school, and then even my first coaching gig in high school, there wasn't a lot of female representation. So to see how much it's grown and how the interest in women in football has grown to this day has been really awesome to see.
Let's try to do this. I don't know if you could because you were part of both teams, but I'm wondering how the game talent-wise has progressed for the U.S. So if your 2013 team, with you as a player, were to be able to play a mythical game against the championship 2022 team, what's the score and who wins?
I might get in some trouble for this one, but I'm saying 2022 spank in 2013. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, that speaks volumes of the skill level. The skill has improved that much over the course of 9 years, where these women are head and shoulders better than they were even just 9 years ago.
Yeah, I would absolutely say so. And I'd say the football IQ and just the progression of learning the game from a higher level has definitely grown in the past decade. And I saw it with this team and the 2022 team, and just how well versed in the game they were. There's a lot of parts of the women's game that have progressed, and I was just really awesome to see, because we had a lot of very smart, obviously talented football players, but very football smart players, which was awesome to see, because that means the game is growing. And again, from a broader lens, you're looking at women who will eventually, once their career is over, much like myself, venture into coaching, venture into other aspects of football at any level, which is awesome to see them grow in that capacity.
Callie, we finally, are seeing more and more women represented in the coaching ranks like yourself. Talk about, from when you first started coaching to now, coaching men. We know there's a lot of sexism in sports. I mean, it's always been that way. How have you found it personally? And I'm sure you've had to deal with some of that along the way. But has it been less than you thought, more? I mean, how is it now compared to when you first started?
Yeah, I think we've all kind of dealt with that adversity and those obstacles as women in this sport. It's a masculine dominated sport. I mean, that's no secret. I've been very fortunate to work amongst a lot of people who are advocates for women and just equality ultimately in football. From my time at Dartmouth with Buddy Tevens, Coach McDermott in Buffalo, and obviously Coach Stefanski and the organization here. So I've been very fortunate in my journey to be evaluated based off of my skill level and my talent level and my knowledge of the game and my work ethic. So I really wish that for every other female. I know that's not every female's experience as they enter in the sport, but I do wish that is what it is in the future, that you're assessed as a candidate, not as a female or a male or whatever it is. It's just the best candidate for the role.
Callie, first of all, I want to say you are a rock star. I have 2 daughters, and I'm going to tell them to look up to you, because I'm going to make them play football. I'm going to make them watch your story and play football like you did. Obviously, the hot topic has been the Browns wide receiver room this preseason and this camp. How do you feel that they played in their first preseason game?
I think we made a lot of progress, and a lot of that stuff you can practice and go through the reps on the practice field, but you want to see how it shows up in a game. And it's a preseason game, right? It's raw. There's a lot to learn from. But ultimately, I'm excited about the room. I'm excited about the growth of the room, spending the spring with these guys, and then obviously working through training camp and getting to that point. It was cool to see them suit up in a game and go out and put it on the field, in a game scenario. But it's a preseason game. I think every team's in the same boat where there's a lot to learn after preseason game 1. But we have such a motivated room, very smart, very intelligent. So I think we took the things that showed up on film and have ultimately gotten better because of it.
Will we see Amari Cooper play at all in the preseason, or are we saving him just for the regular season?
I can't speak on really the game plan for Amari, honestly. But just know he's always ready when his number's called.
Callie, I'm going to go back to your coaching career. And in general, the future of female coaches in the NFL. As a minority, I hold dear when, Barack Obama was elected, as the first black president. We have a first black female vice president now. How close do you think the NFL is to having a woman becoming either a coordinator or a head coach. We see it, you guys progressing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard to put that in like a quantitative form, but I do think that we're nearing it. I mean, we're getting closer. I think the women who are involved right now in the coaching ranks, there's 3 of us, I believe, that are assistant position coaches, are very quality coaches. Jen King in Washington, and Coach Lowe down in Tampa, just great coaches whose organizations are investing in them heavily, and they'll continue to grow. So I think it's hard to say like a range of when that will happen, but I do definitely believe that it will.
Callie, what's been the biggest surprise for you coaching and really existing in a man's world, previously an all-male world? What's the one thing that's been your biggest surprise takeaway so far?
I think society kind of makes you feel as a female entering this world that you are kind of an outsider. I think the biggest surprise to me was if you can speak the universal language of football and you can ultimately invest in players and show them that you're there to make them better, they don't care anything else about you. It's about, hey, this person's here to make me better. This person adds value to our process. They don't care if you're a woman. They don't care, about anything else, which is awesome. So if you're there to teach them, to help them grow, to invest in them, doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. And I think I went into this feeding into the narrative of if you're a female, you don't belong. And I was pleasantly surprised by the players that I've gotten to work around in my career.
Have you had any interactions? I know it's not football, but Becky Hammon, obviously, in basketball, has been the closest to being a head coach. Obviously, she was on the bench with San Antonio. She's had some interviews for head coach, and hopefully she will get that opportunity at some point. Have you talked with her at all about her journey?
Yeah, a couple years ago, actually, we did a panel together, and I'm just so impacted by her story, her poise, how she carries herself. She's just a great example of female leadership in sport. And I think that a lot of us can draw from the examples that she's put forth in her career and really ultimately who she is as a person. The players love to work with her, and there's no question as to why.
Mikey McNuggets, our producer, has a question. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Coach, we all know Kevin Stefanski from his press conferences and from looking at him on the sideline and watching how he interacts with players. But what's Coach Stefanski like when he's not in front of the cameras, kind of behind the doors?
He's a great, personally, I think he's one of the best guys that I've met. He's a great leader. He's always very poised. I think one of the biggest things people say about him is how even keel he is, and he is. And he's also kind of the king of dad jokes. I'll give you that one. But
any examples?
Not off the top of my head, honestly. But yeah, he's good. He's good for a dad joke here and there. But no, he's really a great human being, and he's always been so great to me. And it's been awesome working with him the past couple of years and learning from him both on and off the field. Just in the everyday life. When we're not on the field or in meetings or anything like that. He's just a good human being and cares about the people around him and cares about the development of the people around him. And, I'm just really fortunate to be able to learn from him every day.
Callie, what was your reaction when the team traded for Deshaun Watson?
It's really not my place to add in on those things. Ultimately I'm going to do my job every day the best that I can. And no matter who's on the roster, I have a job to do, and that's really my focus.
What about from a pure football perspective?
You want to add talent to your roster in any capacity. I think that's just the goal of all 32 teams. So I think at the end of the day, that's the goal for everybody is to make your football team better in any capacity that you can.
How tough has it been having beyond what he did, just the unknown of when he's going to play? I mean, it was forever, then we finally got a suspension, then there's appeal, and now we're waiting. How tough is that for the team as a whole, not knowing when you're going to have your top quarterback?
I think our big focus right now is just controlling the controllables. Those things are out of our control right now. We still have to get a football team ready to play.
Callie, when you look at where this organization is seated right now, I know a lot of the talk before the suspension was announced was, this is a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. Without him, obviously, the roster is still very deep. There's particularly at running back, and there's some position groups that are very, very strong. The mood inside this team, is there a different feel for what this team can accomplish compared to what there was in the room last year and the year before?
No, I'd say there's no difference. I mean, we're still going after the same goal, and that's to win football games. No matter who's playing, that's the drive and the focus for us, no matter what. And I think that's been the same since we got here in 2020.
Well, Callie, listen, congratulations on coaching the women's team to the World Championship. I know that's a huge feather in your cap. Huge congratulations to you. Continued success with you as you move forward as the assistant wide receiver coach with the Browns. Go win 17 games, and we'll have you back to talk football at the end of the season. Callie Brownson
I love it.
with the Cleveland Browns. Callie, thanks, man. We appreciate it. Very well done.
Thank
Very
you.
well done.
Thank you, guys.
One of the things that really strikes me, and I think most of the assistant coaches have this mentality. You know how they say a team takes on the personality of their head coach?
Yeah.
She is as poised and is buttoned up, and she's kind of like Kevin Stefanski in that regard. You know,
She got that Kevin Stefanski HR manual. See, here's what's gonna happen when you go on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I've been watching. I see what they be doing up there, especially these two. Them on the end.
No. Hey,
By the way, guys, Mary Kate Cabot just tweeting 2 minutes ago.
yeah.
Updated, Browns, Deshaun Watson's camp and NFLPA are actively negotiating a discipline settlement with the NFL, and a deal can be reached soon. NFL hasn't been in contact with Peter C. Harvey and hasn't asked him to hold off on his ruling.
Okay, that's the new
That's
piece.
from Mary Kay.
That last part is the new piece. We knew that they were actively discussing a negotiated settlement. What we didn't know is that the NFL, which now Mary Kay is reporting, is saying that there's no conversations between Peter C. Harvey and the league. McNuggets, are we going to go right into Szoke, or what are we
we're going to go to Szoke, but real quick, I want to tell you about my breakfast this morning. I was starving, and I needed something to eat. I was on the run. Had to get into the studio quick because we had 3 guests, a lot of preparation.
Understandable.
And I found some Built Bars on the way. And let me tell you, if you haven't had Built Bars yet, they're quite delicious. 160 calories, only 15 grams, or not only, 15 grams of protein. It
That's
filled
what
me
you want.
up. Yeah, it's someone trying to put on some weight like me, and you need that protein. They got new flavors like cookie dough chunk puff, which sounds delicious.
That's
not
my
what I had
that's
this
my
morning.
personal favorite.
Haven't had that one yet. They got a coconut flavor, which I can't wait to try.
Yeah.
And here's the best part. If you go to Built.com and use promo code LOCKEDON15, you get 15% off your order. That is LOCKEDON15 for 15% off your order. And without further ado, Jay, you want to introduce your friend?
I do, yeah.
Real quick before he does,
Go ahead, Bull.
McNuggets, if you ever say you need help gaining weight, I'm karate chopping you in the throat next time.
Wow.
It's obnoxious to say you need to gain weight.
Yeah, I mean, here's Bull trying to lose whatever he can.
Whoa, it's not easy. I've been on both sides
I
of
have
it.
too.
I've been on both sides. Boom.
Yeah.
Gaining it and losing it is both equally tough.
Yeah. I will say, as someone who's tried to do both, it is a lot harder to lose it than it is to gain it.
Oh, my God.
Don't worry, you'll have no problem 30 years from now.
True.
You'll
That
get
is-
your man
that
by
is
McNuggets,
true.
And your chest will fill out.
I mean,
and,
that's
and
absurd.
Don't worry, it's coming.
That is more
puberty
absurd
anytime
than
now.
Giannis being
Hey.
the go-to-bed.
Wow. Don't go there.
I'm like 32, right? I still got a couple years.
No,
to
listen,
my
you're a
midlife
late
crisis.
bloomer. You'll get your man body at some point, I
Wow.
promise.
Hey.
Wow.
But it's genetics. Honestly, you know, I wrestled in high school, and I was, even as a junior in high school, I wrestled 98 pounds. But as a sophomore, I was weighing in at 90. And there was a minimum. You had to be at least 90 pounds.
What should be whole pounds?
Wait, what?
Whole pounds.
Wait a
bro.
minute.
What a tough life you
When
guys
I
had.
was a junior
Hey, we
in
got-
high
we gotta
school,
get
I
to the
wrestled
line. We got-
98 pounds.
We'll
Let's
get
get
back
to
to
our
this.
guest.
You was that light?
Zoki will tell you when I knew Jim and at Bowling Green, I was probably 160.
I
You
was
made me
born.
feel good
I
about
was
myself.
I was born. I was
Tell these guys how
115.
embarrassing they are right
Man,
now.
I was.
115.
Let's bring in Jim
Nobody wants to hear
Szoke.
from
Jim,
Jimmy.
welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. He's a Cleveland native. He's a Bowling Green graduate. He's called every game in the history of the Carolina Panthers. Jim, thanks for joining us on the program. It's great to see you again. How are you?
Doing great, Jay. Looks like you put on a few pounds, not too many, but just a couple since the Bowling Green days there.
Yeah, at BG, I was probably like 5'9", 170 maybe. And then after my freshman year, I'm 6 foot, 180, and, you know. I know.
You only put on 10 your freshman year?
Happens.
Yeah.
20.
Yeah. So, Jim, we got to talk to you about the Panthers. Obviously, it's the week 1 opponent for the Browns, and we're going to get to the Baker Mayfield piece. But what I really want to talk about is how the Browns roster. I know you've been a lifelong fan, and you follow this team very closely. Take the quarterbacks out of the mix, because we don't know who's going to start for the Browns, and we don't know who's going to start for the Panthers. It's likely going to be Baker versus Jacoby, but just the other 52 guys, how do these rosters compare? Is this going to be a competitive football game?
Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty balanced, especially, as you said, with Jacoby and Baker probably being the quarterbacks. I think it's a matter of time before they announce Baker as being the quarterback. They're waiting for this second preseason game against New England, but he's done nothing to not earn that job right now. But, both teams have good offensive lines. I know Cleveland always does. But with the Panthers, they weren't good. They were horrible on the offensive line last year. But they brought in guy Austin Corbett, at the right guard spot to go with our one good guy we had, which was Taylor Moton at right tackle. They brought in Bradley Bozeman from the Ravens, who will compete with Pat Elflein, the former Buckeye, at center. And they drafted Ike Ekwonu out of NC State, who's a Charlotte kid, actually, with that 6th overall pick. So offensive line should be similar. Getting Christian McCaffrey back is a different type of running back than what you got with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but they need that running back, McCaffrey, to make any quarterback's job easier. And DJ Moore is, I think, really underrated wide receiver, a guy that people who follow football know him well, but as a guy, certainly a top, I would say, 12, 15 receiver in this league.
By the way, speaking of McCaffrey, I keep seeing, I'm a massive fantasy football guy. I play in like 1,000 leagues. I'm about to embarrass these guys in a fantasy football league. But I don't get it. I'm seeing in a lot of drafts, McCaffrey going 2. There's no way obviously, when he's on the field, he's great. We all know that. But he has missed a ton of time the last 2 years. And unlike Derrick Henry, where it was just one injury, McCaffrey's had a lot of injuries the last 2 years. How confident are you that he can make it through a whole season? Because like I said, it's not just been one injury, and he's so key to their success, obviously.
Yeah, it's similar to Saquon Barkley. These really good running backs. If you do fantasy football, these are top 5, top 3 picks when they're healthy. But he comes into camp healthy. In fact, they're doing joint workout sessions in New England right now as we're talking. And he's up there participating in full pads and all the stuff that's going on up there right now. So as we sit here today, he's had no surgeries. He's had no lingering issues with anything. So right now he's healthy. First 3 years in the league, he was completely healthy. In fact, he was an Iron Man. But the last 2 years, he just had that thing where he'd pull a hamstring or just get an ankle and this and that. But nothing tragic, nothing surgery related like that.
True.
Jim, what's the optimum situation for Baker Mayfield? Obviously, he's there for one more year. You draft Matt Corral. I think he's the up-and-coming guy. He 3rd-round pick, I believe. What's the optimum situation? Do you see Baker being, if he plays pretty well this year, more of a long-term answer in Carolina?
I think it's a classic prove-it year for Baker. The same thing Cleveland was dealing with having to make that decision of, do they want to pay him a big long-term contract? The Panthers will be looking at that come the end of this season, obviously, with him here. Sam Darnold came out of the same draft class, will be a guy that if he doesn't win the job, I don't think he will, that he would be the guy that'd be let go. So they might have a decision to be made there. And as you look around the league, there's not today anyway, we'll see in a year, but there's not a lot of NFL openings, like Seattle maybe, Houston possibly next year. So there's not a ton of starting jobs that are just available around the league. So I think if he plays well here, and it goes the way he wants it to with Ben McAdoo as the offensive coordinator, if the coaching staff doesn't go into upheaval, which is a question mark, honestly, as we head into this season, after back-to-back 5-win seasons, maybe he'll make this his new home, but it's all to be determined how he plays and what the coaching staff looks like at the end of the year.
Yeah, all right, Jim. Let's flip on the other side of the ball. I'm a defensive player, and I'm tired of talking this offense with these guys. y'all got a kid by the name of J.C. Horn, who I actually was a fan of. He was a rookie last year. I think he ended up getting hurt, but he was doing well. Do you see him bouncing back and being one of the top corners in this league, not just of the Panthers, but in this league this upcoming season?
Yeah, you're going to love him. He only got to play 3 games last year. He got hurt 3rd game of his rookie year down in Houston. Same game McCaffrey got hurt in. But he is a press corner. He's big. He's physical. He's a guy that, again, it's too early to say shut down, but he's got the tools and the capabilities to do that. So I think he can be a premier corner in this league. In fact, he had a really nice interception. I've been keeping up with the 2-a-day practices, or the joint practice sessions, rather, up in New England and what they're doing before we head up later tomorrow for the game Friday. But he's got all of that. They picked him over the quarterback situation last year. They could have picked Justin Fields. They could have picked Mac Jones. And they went with the corner in J.C. Horn with that 8th pick last year in the draft. So he comes in with high expectations on him. But I think he's going to be the real deal.
Jim, what is by the way, Dan, real quick, Dan Graziano just tweeted, sources close to the Watson situation believe a resolution could come today or tomorrow. Recent talks between NFL and Watson reps have heightened hope they can reach a settlement without Peter C. Harvey having to rule. Obviously, because of this, the Browns getting Deshaun Watson, Baker ends up going to Carolina. We know what Robbie Anderson said before the season. Of course, when training camp started, he tried to backtrack and make excuses for what he said, but we know what he said. How's that relationship now between the two of them?
It's good. Actually, they've had some good practices together. It's one of those things, once you become teammates, it's different. And,
right.
You see different situations where players, Browns and Steelers become teammates and things like that in years like this. So things can change a lot, obviously, with the change of scenery. And now that Sam is here, and, he was Robbie's guy with the Jets, right, with Sam. So he said Robbie's thought was, I'm protecting my quarterback, my guy Sam, in that moment in the spring. But now that Baker's here, Baker's his guy if he's the starting quarterback. So they're teammates now. And I'll say to Baker's credit, he's been very unquotable. Everything he has said has been very kind of by the book and not really anything that's bulletin board material. Nothing real quotable, honestly, just all team first guys. So I'm sure him and Robbie are great as far as the relationship goes right now. There's no reason for it not to be. And honestly, Robbie didn't have a really good season last year, so he shouldn't be saying much of anything. He should be proving what he can do on the field.
Well said.
Hey, Jim, let's talk about the quarterback, not quarterback, but the head coach rule. How hot is it down there? I know I lived in Charlotte. It's a little warm for a Yankee up here like myself. But how warm is it down there for him for his coaching position?
No, the weather's great. It gets really hot down here. You're right about it. So I moved down here. But as far as the coaching hot seat goes, he's on it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And that's what the NFL's about. And this is year 3. So this is really a year where they've got to step up. So they've addressed a lot of things. We mentioned personnel-wise, offensive line, defensive secondary, getting guys back like J.C. Horn and Christian McCaffrey, and also revamped the coaching staff a lot. Ben McAdoo, I mentioned, former head coaches with a lot of the guys from Baylor and Temple that he worked with in the past. But then they add guys like bringing Steve Wilkes back, who used to be with the organization, was a head coach with the Cardinals, and a guy you're familiar with, Chris Tabor, as our special teams guy. He's got a lot of history in this league, and special teams are a big emphasis for this team this year, too. So I feel like he's got the coaching staff around him as far as veteran guys. They've addressed as many things as they can in 2 off seasons, personnel-wise, a healthy Christian McCaffrey. To me, Baker is a guy that made Cleveland, good when they weren't good, and I think that's what Carolina kind of needs. Is after winning 5 the last couple of years, if he could lead them to 8, maybe possibly 9, I think that would be success and keep Matt Rule continuing into year 4 next year.
Matt, I know you're busy Sunday afternoons at 1 o'clock, so it's hard to watch everything, but I also know you're a huge Browns fan, so I don't think for a second that you're not keeping up with this franchise. And I'm curious to know what your reaction was as a guy who's followed Cleveland. Obviously you knew what Baker was doing here. You followed all of his games closely as you could while calling Panther games. What was your reaction when you heard that the Panthers were making a deal to bring Baker to town, knowing him well as a fan of the Browns and seeing what he's been able to do here?
It's a really safe move to make. They trade a conditional 5th-round pick that could become a 4th based on snaps that he plays. It's a 1-year rental. They get him on the cheap as he renegotiated his contract. I think we're on this end. They're paying like $5.5 million for him this year is all they're paying. So from a cash outlay and from a 1 draft pick standpoint, not a lot invested in it, and a chance to see what he can do moving forward. He's better than what they've got here. I mean, behind Sam Darnold, it's P.J. Walker, who played in the XFL. They just drafted Matt Corral in the 3rd round out of Ole Miss this year. So, they needed, honestly, a starting quarterback, at least another option to compete with Sam Darnold. So it's a low risk. I call it kind of a high floor. Talk about high ceilings and high floors. It's just a high floor move where you've seen what Baker can do for 4 years. I mean, he can be solid. He may not take you to a Super Bowl, but he can get you to the playoffs as he did, won a playoff game in Cleveland. Those are things under this administration that have not happened in Carolina.
Yeah. Listen, you guys will like some of the things that he does on the field. You'll probably scratch your head at some of the other things he does on the field. But the key thing that I'm taking away from this interview, Jim, is the fact that you said he hasn't been quotable.
That's important.
That is growth. That is personal growth, because Baker's always been that guy. It's really difficult for him to hold on to his tongue. Obviously Buckeye fans remember him from
and hold on to the ball,
sticking the flag into
Jay,
I know, I hate to go there, Ty, but
don't bring that up.
He's that guy, and
I did like that.
He's had a lot. He's had a lot of things in the past that
made talk trash.
Question his maturity. So the fact that he's not quotable and he's not popping off, I think that's a good thing for you. Listen, I hope he's the guy you're looking for. Great to catch up with you, Jim. We're going to talk to you again ahead of the Week 1 opener here in a couple of weeks. Jim Szoke on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Jim, thanks. Great job.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
When I read his bio last night, I knew he'd been doing
you.
Panthers games forever.
Yeah.
But when I read that he's done them for 28 years, he's my age. He's been doing this for 35 years. We've been out of college for 35 years. That means at like 29, he was doing Panther games.
Yeah, good for
He
him.
was terrific at Bowling Green. I always knew this guy was going to do great things. Super happy for him. Great guy and a huge Cleveland guy. Like, he absolutely loves Cleveland sports. I'm sorry, I apologize.
And I can't believe you.
Why? What'd he do?
He
I
agreed
said
with
I thought
it.
was.
You liked it.
I liked you.
Why?
What? We only can do selective trash talk? I thought it was funny.
I like it if he was on my team. I hated it when he did it against my
I thought
team.
it was funny. Who cares?
Well, this next guy, I wasn't a fan of. He made a terrible life decision, but I'm not going to
Leroy
judge him
probably
for it.
liked
He
it.
was
Where's
18.
Leroy?
He was 18.
Terrible life decision.
Leroy.
Preacher
Where's
Leroy Hoard. What's up, my man?
Leroy, did you like when Baker
What's happening?
Did you like when Baker stuck the flag in Ohio State? You probably like that, right?
I never really talked a whole bunch of trash because there was too many moving parts. And I couldn't initiate contact. So I wasn't a trash talker, but I don't have a problem with guys that talk trash, but you got to be careful with what position you play when you talk trash, because when those receipts come, a quarterback don't get those receipts, but your O-line does.
Not to mention Baker's
wide
a guy who can
receivers
dish
do.
it out but can't take it, clearly.
Your running backs do, right? And I'll give you a perfect example. When Myles Garrett got in trouble for that Pittsburgh Steelers situation, right? Name another quarterback that does what Rudolph does. I'll give you a second. None.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Because a quarterback does not put his team in harm's way. And the fact that he went over there like he was going to do something, and now you got to go defend your quarterback, that's what escalated that situation. So as a quarterback, you have to be careful not to put your team in harm's way, because those receipts are not coming to the quarterback. They coming to all the other guys that can actually get hit.
And that's everybody on the offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leroy.
Because if your quarterback get hit, you feel like if your quarterback get hit or pushed or shoved, and you don't go over there and defend your quarterback, who's supposed to be your star, your leader, if you don't go over there and defend him, now it's on you.
Yeah, right.
So you have to do it.
And you know what's coming. Hey, listen, the topic of the day, obviously, is we're all on Watson Watch. That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yep.
We've been waiting and waiting and waiting. It appears that our wait could be over soon, though. There's a lot of reports yesterday that the NFL and the NFLPA are actively negotiating a settlement. There are new reports today that say that Peter C. Harvey has not communicated with the NFL. This isn't a thing where the decision, if the decision is in, the NFL doesn't know about it at least.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I immediately shook my head when I heard that. But what do you make of this news?
Jay.
Yeah.
Let me explain something to you. If I hire you to do some work for me,
Yep.
we're going to be communicating during that process.
I'm the employee. You're
That's for
absolutely
anybody.
right. You're right.
Right?
Yes.
You don't have a guy come over and do some work on your house, and then the next time you talk to him, he call you and say it's done.
Right.
No.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I ain't buying it.
I mean, that's
Because it's not independent.
you're right.
Right? It
You're right.
was
He's a league
Roger
guy.
Goodell appointed him.
Yeah, and he's a
So
league
what
guy.
does that mean?
You're right.
He's going to be in line with your thinking.
Why would they put that out there then? Because probably that piece of it was probably leaked by the league.
Because they
Why
don't
would
think
put
we're
that
smart
out there?
enough to figure it out.
But, yeah, right. But,
You know Leroy was
let's
going
be
to be on the
clear.
show.
right.
Let's be clear. How many times do you hear something on TV and they go, oh, this dude must think I'm an idiot?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All the time.
And especially with this. I mean, come on.
Yes. Don't fall for it, folks. Don't do it. You know what's up. You adults. Figure it out.
Yeah.
didn't have any conversations. You fool.
Can we
Y'all
send that
can fall
clip to
for
the
that.
NFL?
Hey, Leroy. That's like you come home at 2 a.m. You married and you ain't had no conversations before you went to bed with your wife. That conversation's happening, buddy. You better make that up.
Hey, it might not be a conversation. It might be some paperwork. There's gonna be some communication.
Leroy, to get to a different topic about the Browns, you know, the running back room. First of all, how did you feel that they did in that first preseason game?
Look, I liked it. And you know what? That whole room seems to play football a certain way, right? Regardless of who's in there. Now, every running back does things a little bit different, right? But when you see a style in which they play, that is on the coaches. That's on, Stump Mitchell, right? The message is very clear how we going to do things in this room. And they all have bought in because they all run the ball extremely hard. They're aggressive. They don't mess around. There's not a whole bunch of running around. Everybody getting it. And that could also come from watching Nick Chubb.
Yeah,
watching Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to be on this team, this is how you got to play.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But not only that, I mean, it's a great point about Nick Chubb. I was just thinking the same thing, Leroy, especially like just the way he carries himself too. Like he don't mess around. He don't talk any trash. He don't mess around. He don't celebrate. He just kicks your ass on the field and makes no big deal about it.
And guess what? They all do it.
Yeah.
Look, they all see what the benchmark is in that room.
Yep.
That's Nick Chubb. And you know, if you want to be a part of this, you better be in line with how this man does things.
That's right.
That's just a fact. That's what having leadership on a team is. He don't have to be outspoken. He don't have to tell you what you did wrong. But Nick could give you that look and say, hey, get in line, bruh. Right? This is how we do things in this room.
That's right.
You're going to represent this room in a way that everybody going to know where we coming from. And so from that standpoint, when you go to Jerome Ford, you go to Kareem Hunt, you go even further down the line, they all seem to have this certain style that they run with, even though they all have different skill sets.
Great.
And so it's good to watch. Because guess what? The coach need to go in that room and say, hey, I don't care who it is, but we're going to have some weight on us for part of this season. We're going to have some heat on us. Accept the challenge. I don't care how deep we got to go. I don't care how far down we got to go on the depth chart. Everybody be ready because we're going to need everybody because we're going to have to run the football consistently and on a daily basis. And I think when you watch them play and you watch how they do things, the message is loud and clear.
Leroy, let me ask you this question. Coach Stefanski has already been on record. He said you're not going to see many of the starters. Do you agree with that to a certain extent, and especially when you talk about Jacoby Brissett? Because I thought I would have played him last game. I'm kind of confused at what's going on here with these snaps. He's not going to play this game either. Is you cool with that?
I have an ongoing argument with anybody who will listen. The only people that really don't need to be in there that much are the running backs. And here's why. Because once you get a feel for the speed and the level of contact, you can shut it down till the season starts. So whether that's 5-10 carries, throughout the preseason, just to get an idea of how you're working with the O-line, how you're working with, the rest of the offense. That's it. You need live action though. There's nobody that plays this game that can just come back from the offseason and play football. There's a reason why you have camp. you got to get your body ready for being tackled, to block, to catch the ball with people on you. You know, all these receivers that look pretty in shorts and tights with the bandanas and the bucket hats in the offseason. How you gonna catch the ball when somebody gonna adjust your teeth? You see what I mean? We used to call them, you know, those camp Pro Bowlers, mini camp. They run across the middle, right? And we just sit in the back and shake our heads. Woo, I can't wait till you get hit. Because we'll see, then them arms, all of a sudden, he had the reach of a condor, and now he like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, right? As soon as there's contact, you got to work through all that. That's what football is.
Alligator.
You have to work through that. As far as a quarterback and the receivers, it's hard to get an actual idea of how much time you have to throw the ball unless you can be sacked for real. Right?
Yeah.
The time limit, there's no time limit if you ain't getting hit. Hell, if I wasn't going to get hit, I'd be looking good. Right? Hey, you can't hit me. I got the orange jersey on.
Yeah.
But when you get in the game action and that guy coming off the edge trying to get a job or trying to get a contract, that time shrinks. So I think everybody needs to get something out of these preseason games. And the argument I have with everybody is that there's only one way to get ready for football. That's to play football. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But these baseball players and basketball, everybody got soft in sports. I don't know if it's because of the investment. I don't know what it is. Because guess what? If a pitcher throws 5 innings, everybody's celebrating.
Not me.
I'm like, when I was a kid, the pitcher pitched till the end of the game or until he couldn't throw no more. He seemed to do okay.
The good old days.
We have a whole bunch of guys having Tommy John surgery.
Facts.
Now, as soon as they get tweaked, as soon as you see a pitcher with a sore arm, what you say? Uh-oh, Tommy John, he gonna come back stronger. Never failed.
That is
so,
right.
I don't know what has happened through sports. I mean, I used to have season tickets to the Cavs, right? I knew when I was going to a game, I'm seeing all the stars. Ain't nobody getting ready for the playoffs or January or an extra break before all. They playing all the game and they did fine. Nobody was blowing anything out.
Seems like there's more injuries now.
So I don't know where we got this, where all of a sudden we got soft. I'm like, listen, I played 5 preseason games, and I played in all of them. And the last preseason game when I played was the dress rehearsal. So not only did you play the first half, you went in, you made some adjustments, you played a couple of series in the second half. Yeah. And guess what? I averaged 14 games a year. And I wasn't, and guess what? You could get horse collared. You could get cleaned up on picks.
Clothesline.
You could get knocked out. Cracked backs. All that was fair game. Now, maybe I see spots every now and then, but I did okay. right?
You have conversations with yourself here and there.
Yeah.
Right. So what? So what? I can have a full conversation with myself when I'm sitting in this room. That's okay. Right? But guess what?
Money, Leroy.
As far as health, right? I had the health of a football player. Banged up, broken up, but was still able to play. That's football. You ain't gonna never be 100% healthy.
Leroy,
So I don't understand why. Look, first of all, if you're gonna play in a preseason game, you play in the first one, in the second one. Okay? Now you can even play in the third one because you got an extra week off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know what are we protecting? Because here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have this conversation after about week 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. Here's what the conversation is gonna be. Hey Leroy, you think the Browns look sloppy and don't look all together because they haven't played football?
Yep.
That conversation is going to come throughout the whole league. Unless you got a veteran team. Now, we'll say this. The defense is a different story. Okay? Those guys have been together. Those guys know what's up. But the offense with all the new moving parts, you got to get some action. You have to. I didn't always like it. I didn't always like playing in the preseason. But I knew after I got tackled a couple of times, after I got, you got to burn off. Look, I don't care how much you work out in the summer. That first week of camp is hell. Your legs are so sore, right? And you got to fight through that. That's part of camp. If you never go through that, guess when you go through it? Week 2.
Right.
So there's a certain process to getting ready for football that you need to go through. Now, me personally, I only know one way, and that was the way that I did it. But I do know this, that soreness comes to everybody during camp. I don't care how much you run. I don't care how much you prepare in the off season. After like day 3 or 4, everybody's looking for that ice tub because your legs are dead and you got to fight through it. So you spend the next couple of weeks, preseason games, getting your mind right, your game prep and all that, fighting through it. So you're ready at the start of the season. The last few years with everybody sitting out all of training camp, everybody starts off slow. Right? We've seen, how many times have we said, Aaron Rodgers, this is it for Aaron Rodgers. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. And he say, relax. Yeah, because you ain't played no football all year, and now you're trying to fix it during the season.
Well, he's also a D-bag. We would admit that, right?
Hey, let me explain something to you. And I'm going to say this, with all sincerity. You can call him what you want. But if Aaron Rodgers was showing up at your door to play for your team, you going to give him his flowers.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give him his flowers, and I'll watch him.
Big boy.
He never gets criticized for it. He chokes in the playoffs every year, and he never gets criticized.
Hey,
yeah.
Let's put on our big boy pants, bull.
I got my big boy pants on.
No, I said big boy pants, not big pants. All right? Here's we go. Just because I work with you, don't mean we have to get along.
No, I know.
I'm a pro. And if I see somebody come through that door that's going to help me reach my goals, you best believe I'm all in.
But to be fair, Aaron Rodgers hasn't done squat in the playoffs for the last since he won the Super Bowl a decade ago. Hasn't done squat, and he never gets killed for it, which is ridiculous.
Would you take him?
Of course I'd take him.
Here,
did I say he was a bad quarterback?
Russell Wilson's the same guy. He won a Super Bowl 10 years ago.
Did I say he was a bad quarterback?
Can I say something?
I'm just saying Patrick Mahomes got destroyed last year, and he's barely been in the league, been to the AFC Championship every year. Aaron Rodgers lost to the Niners at home in terrible weather, didn't do anything in that game.
A point did get blocked.
Against the schlub and Jimmy Garoppolo, who someone told me yesterday at Brown Camp.
A point got blocked.
Don't bring that up. He's on a roll.
Did Aaron Rodgers do anything in that game?
The point got blocked, though.
Did he do anything in that game?
It was a block punt for a touchdown.
For a touchdown. In a snow
game.
If you don't know, that is the momentum killer. Like, that takes all the energy away. So.
Aaron Rodgers chokes the playoffs every year. Go ahead.
Bill, you know. San Francisco got 11 guys on that field, too.
Yeah, but they don't have a quarterback.
It sound like it's only Aaron Rodgers.
No, I know that. They played well. But if he's a star quarterback, which he is, doesn't he have to play better?
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
And here's what kills me about sports.
Yeah.
Do we think differently of Bill Parcells if Scott Norwood makes a kick?
Wow.
Exactly.
From facts.
Because that means he has one Super Bowl and he's the same as Brian Billick.
Yep, you're right.
Wow. That's a good point.
So, a lot of other things going on the field except for what's going on at quarterback.
You can be great. Aaron Rodgers is great.
I don't disagree.
Now, here's what the problem is. Sometimes with Aaron Rodgers. You got to put it on you. Stop looking around.
That's right. You always blame someone else.
And so, from that standpoint, I have one play burned in my mind about Aaron Rodgers last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was 3rd or 4th down. He rolls out. There's nobody between him and the end zone, and he threw the ball instead of running.
That was 2 years ago, but I know
Yeah,
exactly
that
what
That
you're
was
talking
2 years
about.
ago?
Yeah,
That is
last
It was
year.
for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans can't
And I was
forget
like,
that.
I can't
What?
either, because it was sad.
It's
Like,
unexplainable.
at the end of the day, it's 4th and inches at worst case scenario, even if he didn't get it, and he decided to pass.
Right.
It was terrible.
Right.
Leroy, was you a big fan of the salt, like smelling salt when you played? I was.
Not really. Like it's you know what it is? It's a football thing, right? Even as a little kid, it was like, ooh, smelling salt. Let's go. It's supposed to get you fired. Ah!
It
Smelling
did.
salt.
No, it
right?
does do that. It does do that.
I want to give
dude,
y'all a
dude.
disclaimer at home.
First of all,
If anybody is watching this at home,
The salt.
there's a difference between iodized salt, bath salt, and the salt they talk
This
about.
is like
Do
pneumonia
not-
we
It's a-
talking about.
Do
Hey,
not conflate-
first of all, it's ammonia.
okay.
It's ammonia.
Yeah.
And look, here's what you do. It's a little tube,
Yeah.
right?
break it.
With some cloth around it.
Yeah.
And then you break it, and then you sniff it. It's like,
Ooh.
ah! Right? Look,
Now,
I get it.
I don't want to be demonetized, so I don't know if they're actually talking about breaking anything and sniffing stuff. I would not try that. Can we get some Deshaun Watson stats at the bottom?
You've done smelling salts, though.
Hey, but you know what?
No.
Wow.
No.
Hey, it clears your sentence. I mean,
listen,
it attacks your
if
sentence.
you,
Well,
I use those
hey,
strips.
hey, the strips. Yeah, that's just as effective. You think you gonna open up your nose and get more air?
I got a big nose.
Me too. Me too.
The smelling salts.
Like, but you think, hold on.
Clears
Hold
your
on.
brain.
Look at my nose go from cheek to
You
cheek.
ain't got
It's
no
black.
big nose. What are you talking about? Look
Right?
at this nose. Look at that nose.
You think I could put a little piece of tape on my nose that's gonna open things up? When I'm tired, I'm breathing out everything. I'm breathing out everything.
Leroy,
There ain't no way.
Leroy, out of the running back rooms with the Browns, obviously only 3 of them makes the team. So who you think is the odd man out?
I would say this. There is a way they could keep more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So you're gonna keep
And-
5
and
because they
here's
got to
why.
keep the fullback too.
I'm moving Felton to wide receiver.
Here's why.
What you mean? That's
Because those are also your special teams guys.
Yep.
it's still 5.
Johnson,
Right.
4.
I had in my running back room in Minnesota,
Stanton.
we had 6 guys and only 3 played.
Right.
Everybody else was special teams. When I was in Cleveland, everybody in the room played. Except for we had Randy Baldwin and a couple other guys that were special teams guys. They return guys. But for the most part, you're talking about if you look at what's a position they keep extra guys? It's linebacker, it's running back, and you may keep either extra receiver or extra DB because those are your special teams guys also.
Right.
And so it always, any guy that comes into the league, I would say, play a little special teams. You never know.
Should be.
Because sometimes the numbers just don't add up. And you got to be able to do something else.
Hey, Leroy.
They'll keep all 4 of these guys.
Yeah,
I agree.
Definitely.
I
definitely.
agree.
5 with Felton too.
If they get rid of
I
one
think
of them,
Felton's going to wide receiver.
Stanton is a fullback,
Who
and they got to
cares?
keep him.
Stanton's out of here.
He got
don't have to keep him.
You got to
Why?
keep a fullback.
Why?
So we don't run the
Why?
I formation no more.
No.
How many teams
Why?
carry fullbacks?
No.
not many.
Wow, y'all.
Hey.
No, there's only 1
Hey.
or 2.
That's true.
Listen,
We run the ball here, though.
you don't need a fullback. A lot of times they
hung
use a
together.
tight end. A lot of times they use a tight end. So you gonna hold a guy. Wait, you know what the great thing about football is? Here's where everybody's trying to get. Everybody's trying to get to versatility, right? So you can't have a guy on your team that does one thing?
Right.
You can't. Nobody does. If you
Unless
have a
you're the long
fullback, he's
snapper.
either long
Charlie's
snapper,
the only guy that can
or he play all the special teams.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to do multiple things because Bill Belichick used to have a thing. He says our roster's 53 guys. Well, we actually have 85 players because we have 30 of our guys that do a number of different things.
Yeah.
Being versatile it's the same thing about interior line, right? Usually you have a couple of guards, a couple of centers, but they all interchangeable. So if a center goes down, a guard can move over to center, or if a guard goes down, you can take your backup center and move him to guard.
Hell, Bill
All
had a
those
wide receiver play defensive back.
Yeah.
He had a linebacker play tight end. He did it all.
Right,
He moved
right,
them.
right. So be careful with, we need a fullback. No, you need somebody to play that position.
Not cutting a
You don't
more
necessarily
talented
need
player for a
somebody called the
fullback.
fullback.
Yeah.
And with Deshaun Watson, I wouldn't be surprised if they did more 3-4 wides because guess what that's going to do? That's going to give Nick Chubb more room.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's going to give Nick Chubb more room.
Hey, Leroy.
Somebody got to make a decision.
The Browns are having joint practices with the Eagles this week. Right now, the Panthers are doing a joint practice with the Patriots. They actually had a big fight about an hour ago. We see these fights all the time. Baker Mayfield in the middle of it. A, do you like joint practices? You think it's a good idea? B, do you want your quarterback mixing it up because it makes him look tough? Or is it stupid because he's likely to get injured? What say you?
Again, I go back to Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
No matter how tough you try to look, you are now, if you're the quarterback and you get into something, your whole offense now has to go over. And that escalates the situation. Right? So as a quarterback, you get guys back. You don't get involved in it. Because you're not thinking about you. You're thinking about your whole team, your whole squad. And you don't want that to escalate. I would say look, here's the people that fight. Okay, let's be clear. I'm going to break it down.
Yep.
There we go.
Linebackers and tight ends and defensive backs and wide receivers. Linebackers fight with tight ends because they ain't no officials at practice, so they be grabbing the hell out of them. And that's all you hear the whole practice. Stop grabbing me. Stop grabbing me. Next thing you know, they fight. DB's talking so much trash that eventually somebody just get mad and they just go at it.
It's the other way around, Leroy, but I hear you. definitely the wide receivers.
Wide receivers what?
Talking to trash.
You saying DBs don't talk trash?
No, they do, but I'm saying that it escalates. We are reactive. They come out here and make a couple of catches, and then, now the talking starts, so now we got to start,
Hey, wait. You got a DB in the league that got a list. And Jalen Ramsey. He making lists every year.
Chad had a list. What are you
true.
talking
Chad
about?
did
He
have a
started it.
You're right. Chad did have the list first.
Leroy, let me ask you this question. Do y'all know the difference? Because let me set this up. I think there's a couple people like this on this Browns team. Have you played with somebody, or do people in the locker room know if a person done really earned his position, or he just by default got the position due to some casualties? Maybe somebody got traded, maybe somebody they wouldn't give him the money, or maybe somebody done went down, and you like, this guy's he running with the twos, but he really ain't no two. Or he running with the ones, and he ain't no one. Can y'all tell that? Because there's a couple dudes, I ain't going to say no names right now, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I ain't going to say no names right now, but, I mean, that's a default running with the team. They got him the number 2 receiver for no reason. He ain't earned that.
There is a lot of situations or circumstances in which I won't even call it don't deserve the job. I would say get opportunities. Okay? Either through injury, either through somebody on the staff sees your upside. Only thing that we care about on the field is whether you producing or not. So if Donald Peoples-Jones goes out there and he start dropping balls, now the coach has a responsibility to the other 10 men on the field. And that's where the problem comes in. Right? Like you can be supportive of your guy and see it through when he's struggling. But you also have a responsibility to the other guys on the field. And so you know those guys, but you don't think of it as he shouldn't be there. You think of it as he's there. We need him to do what he needs to do. Because it's all about winning. We ain't sitting back worrying about what your circumstances are, what your situation is, or why you there. But once you get there, now we're going to hold you accountable. So that's kind of how that goes. Because I'll tell you like this. Every opportunity I ever got, I wasn't the first choice. Right? But guess what? Coach looked to his left, looked to his right. Wasn't no running backs. I was the only one there.
Go do it.
You know, I say, look, my second year in the league, I had like 9 or 10 receiving touchdowns. You know what they did? They had so much faith in me, they drafted Tyler Vardell as the 9th pick in the draft.
That was crazy.
That was
right?
stupid.
I still can't believe that.
So I'm thinking, oh, they must think I'm terrible. So I say, well, we'll see, right? Season starts. They come to me. They want some money back, right? Had to give them some money back. I go play out the year. Tommy Vardell gets hurt. Old Bill Belichick got to look over to his right. And guess who's standing there? I said, yes, sir. I'm ready. Let me get my mouthpiece. I'm ready. And guess what? Made the Pro Bowl. So all these situations that you see, it's up to the player to handle it. The team, it's their responsibility to hold you accountable, the veterans. So you know, based on what you see on the field, whether that guy should be there. But I'm not going to say, you know, a guy got his job this way or got his job that way. It don't matter. Man, there's some weird. Wait, you think they were real confident when Kurt Warner took over?
Hell, Tom Brady for that matter.
Right.
Tom Brady was draft pick 199 and Drew Bledsoe was
but that's
franchise.
what I'm saying. So you got to be careful with kind of using, you know, going that route. But I get what you're saying. Like there are times, for example, that same year, the offensive line went to Bill and said he needs to carry the ball more. And they were talking about me. So that's the opposite of what you're talking about. Right? But I'm more than sure there's been some guys that the quarterbacks, you know, I'm more than sure that Aaron Rodgers has gone to his coach or Tom Brady and say, I can't, this guy don't know what he's doing. You got to get him out of here.
Right.
So it happens, man, but it's all about being accountable. If you get an opportunity, you go out there and play and you contribute, we move on.
Yeah, who cares
it don't matter
how you
who
got
you
there.
are.
Just what matters is what you do while you're there. Hey, Leroy,
Thanks,
we
Leroy.
got to go. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of the week. We'll catch you next week, man.
Go Bucks.
Leroy Hoard on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Go Bucks.
I'm thinking I should sing some Bone Thugs on the way out. Wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month.
Thank you, Leroy. Peace, my man.
Later.
McNuggets just got my ear and told me that we have not one today,
We have
but
two new jingles.
submitted jingles from viewers.
Our boy Eddie is back, and you're going to notice Eddie got a haircut. He got a little bit of YouTube
He's going
shine,
big
and
time
he
now.
went big. We also shout out Devin Ribley for sending us in a Roundstone one. We'll play that in a little bit. Before we do what the internet's saying, and then we're going to introduce a new game show here, I just want to let you guys know we got a follow-up from two YouTube commenters I want to mention. They've been calling Leroy, you know, Charlemagne the God, is now Leroy the God.
I'm
That is
good
what
with
he's
that.
been dubbed in the chat.
Yeah.
And also Noah.
Because he's a preacher.
He is a preacher, absolutely. And Noah also says, I can't believe the UCSS crew actually reads all the comments. I'm sorry. I didn't think they actually did. I admit when I'm wrong. So Noah, just know we're keeping you accountable. We see it. We appreciate it.
By the way, Leroy has the longest answers to questions.
He does.
The only person in competition with him, if you've ever interviewed him, and I have, is Charles Davis.
Huh, interesting.
I've had Charles Davis on for 15 minutes once.
asked one
I think
question.
I asked 2 questions.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Leroy can talk.
He can talk.
Leroy can talk.
The only one who talks more than Leroy, though, is the internet. And when the internet
That's
talks,
true.
it's brought to you by PCC Airfoils.
That's our boys.
Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus get full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Take it away, Eddie.
Start spreading the news, perfect to a T. You know who I'm going with. It's PCC.
Excellent. By the way, Mike, did you say that was Elvis yesterday?
His one
No,
yesterday.
his other one was Elvis.
Oh, the other one was Elvis.
This is
Frank
obviously
Sinatra.
Sinatra. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Eddie's awesome.
Very eclectic.
You notice
also
Eddie
Devin
spent some money on a haircut.
Hey, them checks.
I like it.
Them checks is coming in now.
Yeah.
Them royalty checks.
And when we do top 5 in a sec, we have another jingle from Devin Ribley.
Wow.
Who sent in his own.
Better
his own
than
riff.
Eddie's?
We'll let everyone
We'll
else decide.
decide.
They're both good, both great.
Yeah.
All right.
But we have a game. We got a
Keep
new
them
game
coming.
we want to play
Let's
here,
go.
guys. So we talk about Deshaun Watson a lot. We have
No.
to. We do.
You
So
think?
we decided as a group here we wanted to give some other guys some shine. So we're gonna play.
We haven't decided that as a group at all, but
No, the production team did.
yeah.
Because it's our choice here. And we're going to get to know some other Browns. And today,
Great idea.
we're going to get to know Ethan Pocic, the Browns' new center, who will be very
Is that
close
the
with
is
Jacoby
that the
Brissett.
proper pronunciation? Because I have no idea.
I think it is.
It is
Yeah.
Pocic.
I think it is.
So what we did
Both
is we
sides.
created 8 facts. Some are true, some are false, and we're going to see how well you guys know
Oh.
Ethan Pocic. So this is Get to Know Ethan Pocic, True or False edition.
Oh, no.
Are y'all ready to play?
Let's
Yes.
do it, man.
Steve, let's punch the music.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Take
yeah,
the
game show
first
music.
fact. My dream job after football
Yeah.
is to be a TV analyst. True or false?
True. They all want to do
False.
True.
We're split 50-50. Steve, let's get to the reveal. It is
Told you.
false.
Wow.
I knew I shouldn't have listened to Jay.
Keep track of
He's
this.
terrible on
Jay and
these.
Tyvis are 0-1. G and Bull.
What is it? What is his dream job then?
We don't know. We just made that up.
Well, then how the hell do you know it's not to be a TV
Because
analyst?
it wasn't on his 12 facts to know about him from the Seattle Seahawks website last year.
There you
That's
go.
not so
Well,
what? That's
wait a
not.
minute.
But
No,
it's
no.
not false.
Oh, no, I got clarification. His dream job is to become a strength and conditioning coach.
Dang.
Oh, okay, now that I can live with
I
that.
was about to say,
Just because they didn't say what his dream job was, you can't say
That's
what it
his
wasn't.
dream job. To
Yeah,
be
a lot of
strength
guys
and
want to do that. A
conditioning
lot of
coach?
guys study that.
My
in
God,
college.
dream higher, pal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, number 2.
Yeah.
Let's take it,
Listen to
Steve.
Jay. Whatever Jay says, the opposite.
Yeah,
My
go the opposite
favorite
way.
superhero is Batman.
100% true.
False.
I'll give you a hint. One of you guys is right.
I figured.
Yeah, he looks like a bat. White guys like Batman.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
say
gonna go
I'll
wow,
say
the
true. I'll say true.
stereotypes are so bad here.
That's what we do
What
here.
is
Can we
this?
stop with
Survey
that?
says-
That's what we do here.
It is true.
Oh my goodness.
Tyvis.
Boom.
The other 3 get the dub
I'm
here.
doing bad. Let me lock in.
Ty,
Hold
shame
on.
on you.
Let me lock. Stop it.
Shame on you. You're going to answer this one first.
Go
All
ahead.
right, next one, Steve. Let's take it. My major in college was sports administration.
False.
I'm going to say false, too. I mean, I don't know how you go from sports ad to a strength and conditioning coach.
G.
This is very tough. What school did he go to? Can I get a?
LSU.
I'm gonna say true.
Oh,
That's actually.
that's 100% true. Go
I
ahead.
want to switch
Survey
my
says?
Wait, no.
It is
I wanted to switch my answer.
No,
I wish I would have
Another
known.
jump.
That was information we did not
I
have when we
needed to
answered
know he went to LSU. I would have switched.
it. We didn't have that information when we answered.
Jay, it's all about probing.
It's asking
Oh,
questions.
man.
It's asking questions. Journalism.
3-0. 3-0.
I'm learning.
Impressive start for
I
Bull.
can't get on the.
G's 3-0.
I can't get on the
I have to
board.
tell you, this whole thing is rigged. You told us who the player was going to be. You think for one damn second Bull didn't go read
That's
this guy's
actually
bio?
Never. I did not read
I mean,
his bio.
why would you tell us the player that you're going to ask us
I
about?
did not look at his bio. I do not cheat. I've never
So
cheated
you're just
in my life.
lucky guesses.
Not just
Wait a
Entirely
minute.
possible.
What's that dude off of Life that was the baseball dude? Can't get right. That's me right
Yeah.
now. I just can't get right.
I would never have
Come
used
on with the
steroids.
next one.
No cheating. I don't believe
I
in
gotta
cheating.
lock in. Be quiet.
We got 5 more. We got
I
5
gotta
more.
lock in.
Let's go. Let's go.
8 total. This is number 4.
Okay.
It's about to be bigger than
Let's take
Michael
it,
Jordan's
Steve.
comeback.
I was recruited to LSU to play tight end.
That's true.
I would say true.
I'm
too.
saying true also.
I would definitely say true.
Yeah, you guys have dropped the ball on this one. That's false.
Bull does not miss. This man does not miss. That is false.
He's either
not
stupid
recruited.
lucky or he read his bio. One or the other.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
we're taking 50-50
Neither is
shots.
true.
Bull's 4-0.
He's 4-0. But there's no way he can know that, so it's a guess.
Just go opposite of me.
It's an educated guess. You guys are rushing into your decision.
This is a.
Let Bull go first. I will whatever Bull says. This is what I'm saying.
There's some irregularities out here.
no
in the
irregularities.
market. It's some
I'm a
irregularities.
man of my word. I never cheat. I
Are
don't
these-
believe in cheating. I don't believe in
Are
winning
these
by
voting
cheating. I don't like
machines
No,
hooked
I
to
don't
the
believe you
internet?
cheated. I think you're lucky.
Are these voting
Not
machines
luck. I mean,
hooked to the internet,
somewhat,
Bull?
but-
It doesn't matter because whatever
It's a-
he says from now on, I'm
Bull
with
is putting his
I'm with
paycheck
you.
on this answer. Let's see what happens.
I know it's because I think I know Mike well, and that felt to me like a question he would make up because he would think that because the way he looks, he's not that big an offensive lineman, that we would buy that he would come in as a tight end.
I
And
appreciate
McNuggets,
the
don't you
thinking.
certify this election?
Yeah,
Don't
go
you
ahead.
certify that?
Next one.
I don't even need to
This is a
speak
tough
no
one.
more.
Number 5.
Let's take it, Steve. If any actor could play me in a movie, it'd be Vince Vaughn.
That's true.
False, man. False, bro.
I'm just going to say false because Bull said true. The odds are he's got to miss.
I don't have to say anything. I'm with Bull for the rest of the thing.
You're riding Bull's coattail.
Yeah.
Bull's right.
I'm on the board. I'm on the board. Yes. Yes.
I cannot be stopped.
I'm on the
This is
board.
like accurately predicting a flip of a coin 5 times in a row.
It's amazing. And that one, I felt like with the other 4, there was some educated guess to it. That one, I will admit, was a total guess.
Yeah, I mean,
This
but I
next
said it
one-
it would
confidently.
have to be.
This next one's tough, too. These two are the back-to-back, the 2 toughest. Let's take it, Steve. My favorite off-season activity is deer hunting.
False.
True.
That's actually interesting because I can see either way.
False.
Bull's thinking white
Yeah.
guys do deer
Yeah,
hunting.
like stereotypes,
And
right?
he is white.
Yes, he is.
I know that crossed his
he's a
mind.
lineman.
I know that crossed his mind.
That did cross my mind.
And he's from LSU.
Yep.
And Southern guys love to hunt.
That's a
Southern white guys are generally trashy, so they hunt.
Wow, generally trashy.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's so rough.
I
I'm sorry.
apologize.
I'm
I
sorry.
apologize.
I'm a white guy. I can say
I
that.
apologize.
Say
I
that.
can't.
To
You
all-
can't.
I-
You're not
I-
a Southern white guy.
Not in 2022, you
I
can't.
apologize for all Southern white
I'm
men.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I could also see Mike getting in my brain and thinking that I would think that he would do it. I'm going to say true.
Drum roll, please.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Hold on.
Wait. Can I switch? Can I?
What are you going with, Tyvus?
I'm for this one time. I'm gonna go false.
And Tyvus makes the right decision.
Oh my God!
My
My perfect game ends. Oh
Bull
no!
texted us in the group chat about the Rays pitcher who had the perfect game in the 9th,
And
and he jinxed
I
it
jinxed it.
immediately.
Blew it.
But jinxes don't count. There's no such thing as
He
Man,
doesn't believe in
like-
jinxes.
like-
That is true.
That's like, it was too stereotypical. It was almost
That's
like-
what I'm saying.
I
It
knew
was
it.
too
I knew
perfect.
I should have listened to
The
my
layup was too good.
Hey, yo,
All right,
yo,
let's fly through the last 2, and then we'll talk a little
Okay.
Guardians here.
All right.
Number 7. My favorite food is pizza.
That's false.
I mean, that's a safe
He's
bet.
from the South. What would he know about pizza?
He likes gumbo, right? He's a white guy from the South. Guy like gumbo.
I ain't saying nothing.
Nobody from the South knows anything about pizza.
I'm gonna say this is false. He probably like a good steak or something, burger, right? He seems like an all-American dude.
I'm going true.
I'll go false, man.
Trying to miss everyone.
I'm
I've
a
got
ride
one
with-
like,
I'm a
it's
ride
crazy.
with Bull
Jay,
on
it
this.
is false, but Jay, his favorite food is gumbo.
It is gumbo.
That's funny. Now that's funny.
All right, we got one more. Let's end on a high note. Let's go
All right,
4 for 4.
Slowly but surely, I'm
gonna answer this for myself.
Ethan Pocic's favorite TV show is The Simpsons.
False. He looked like a Family Guy type of guy.
No, he looks like an American guy type of guy.
No, he looks like he looks like a King of the Hill type of guy.
Okay. Well, you gotta come up with a cartoon now.
I'm definitely saying that's false. But I think that he is a, let's see, he's from the South, big, white, gumbo.
He looked like Peter Griffin.
I'd say, you know what? I think Family Guy, too.
I'm saying false on that one.
Yeah.
American Dad.
I
False.
can't believe I said we wanted to go on a high note. Y'all all went false. You're all dead wrong. It is true. He is a Simpsons
I
guy.
still won though, 6 and
Bull
2.
still won 6 and
You
2.
know what, though? I think what's cool about this is I do feel like I know this guy now. I'm not sure he's going to be on the team when the season starts.
He
but-
will be 100%.
Well,
How do you
definitely
set
be
it
on the
up?
team.
unless J.C. Treader gets called.
He's still gonna be on the team.
He's backup.
Yeah.
Well,
They don't
You gotta have a guy with some veteran experience. This guy did start in Seattle.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think they're going to sign
That's all
Shredder.
we got. I don't either.
I'm afraid they're
I had
not
a few
going
people
to.
at camp telling me yesterday that
Yeah.
Stefanski hates Shredder.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's
Wow.
just not I've heard that it's not a good look for the streets for Treader.
Yeah, no.
That's too bad.
Well, that's getting to know Ethan Pocic. We'll do that a couple more times
We know
throughout
him
the
now.
year.
We know
feel
him.
like we know him a little better.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Bull. And before we get to the Guardians, I just want to.
Oh, wait. He gets a prize, doesn't he?
Yeah, give him a hat.
I get the hat?
Yeah, you
Cam
get a hat.
McKinley, 1997
Before-
National Championships.
Yeah.
This is actually pretty cool,
no.
though. Before we get to the Guardians,
Now, he looks like a cartoon character. He looks like Rudy Gazzuti. Google it, kids.
Rudy Gazzuti.
Yeah.
You look like you got to have a chaperone after 9.
Oh my God.
Let me see if I can find out a picture of Rudy Gazzuti.
well, while Jay's looking at the picture, Steve, pull up the tag board. I just want to mention this real quick before we talk about how the Guardians may or may not have had some beef with the umpires last night. In Cleveland today, they announced the transformation of a new field in honor of Jose Ramirez. Jose helped donate to this project. So
great.
shout out to Jose Ramirez and the Guardians for helping turn
Good job.
a field in Tremont, into a new baseball park, which is
Nice.
cool. So always shout out to the Guardians. They're really on top of the community service, and we appreciate them.
We do.
I like that.
And we appreciate Jose making the community better. Inner city baseball is on the rise. It's coming back.
And by the way, since we're going to get to the Guardians, the Guardians, you owe these two gentlemen something here. These two gentlemen be putting the cape on for y'all. They be waving the banner for y'all every single day. They talk about you. They keep you in the news. You can't even turn the radio station on without with anybody hearing Guardians talk. They fight for Guardian space in this rundown every single day. They trust me. We be in the pre-show meetings, and they be fighting for it. So I gotta give them credit. So what you guys need to do, because I said something about it, and you need to reciprocate this. I need them when they gonna throw out the first pitch. When can that happen? I mean,
I have never been asked to throw out the first pitch.
Wow.
I have.
In part because I'd hurt the catcher's hand.
See, look.
They want to bring these dudes in there that skip it into home plate.
Look,
Can't throw out.
Did you ever see my first pitch?
Hey,
I did see your first pitch, bro. It wasn't great.
If Aaron
Did you
Judge
reach home plate at least?
I did. If Aaron Judge was batting, this is strike.
That would be a big.
God.
Man,
No,
this
it's
is
not.
why-
It's a home run.
It was
500
just a
feet.
bit high.
This is why that would be a big. I think that would be a big accomplishment. You would have loved to do that, wouldn't you?
I have
first
thrown
pitch.
out first
That'd be
pitches.
awesome.
I haven't done it for my team.
Yeah, look, see. Hey, make it happen.
I threw out.
Hey, Jay, it's 12:45. We'll find that picture. We'll tweet it out later.
All
Let's
right.
talk a little Guardians.
I
though.
found it,
We got to get into what happened last night. Steve, let's take the tag board before we get into anything else. This was my favorite meme out of what came from last night. G. Bush, did you hear Austin Hedges' comments following the game?
my God.
This just had me cracking up.
Is that Anthony?
Next time.
Can we get a tight shot of
Anthony out
Anthony
there.
right now making that same
Hey,
face?
let me see. Turn to the side a little
Get a
bit.
tight shot of Anthony making that same face, and then Steve, if you can, these guys are separated at birth.
Hey,
Okay, he looks like Psycho right there. No, you're not nearly angry enough.
You got to turn to the side a little bit.
you got
Yeah,
get
turn
that
to the
angle.
side and make your eyes as big and crazy as you can.
It's not bad.
It does. Hey, it's close.
It is close.
It's very close.
Hey, he kind of do, bro. Like
He really does look like Austin Hedges.
That's crazy.
He looks like Austin Hedges if Austin Hedges could hit. Would be Anthony.
Petty.
To Austin's credit, he has
Petty.
got hot. He's starting hitting a lot better
Betting
than he
about
was.
$1.85.
I'm just saying, every time Bulls say something like,
False. I say something every day, and he gets like. I find it funny when people tweet every time he gets a hit, like as if I thought he was going to go 0 for 500 this
I know I
season.
have people
You-
tweeting me.
you make it sound
Bulls
like that.
boy just got a hit. I'm
Good
like,
for him.
Don't tell me about it.
I
Tell
want
Bull.
him to get hits. I'd love him to get more hits.
I would
don't-
too.
I got nothing against the guy personally.
I like a witty
He's a
goalie.
good catcher. I got to say, I love. If you didn't see his rant, go look it up, MLB.com or whatever. He was pissed after the game. I don't blame him.
Well, let's tell him why he was pissed.
Well, he was pissed to two controversial things. In the first inning, Tigers, top of the first, Tigers 2 out, nobody on. Javi Baez walks, steals second, and then was it Ramirez, I think, hit a ground ball. Harold Ramirez,
Yes.
I think it was.
It hit
a
the
ground ball in
bag.
the middle, hits the bag. Freeman makes a nice play to grab it, makes a great throw home.
does.
They get Baez at the plate. They go to New York for the stupid rule about not blocking the plate. They overturn the call.
Mikey,
Now,
do you have a picture? Here's the actual still freeze frame of when the ball is in Hedges' glove.
Yeah.
And Baez is already into his slide.
Now, I watched this. I went back and forth on the video a number of times.
I did too.
First of all, where he's in this position here, there is a path to the plate. And what people always forget is the rule is a little confusing, but it does say you can block the plate once you have the ball.
And
his knee
glove.
did not come down. His knee started to come down as the ball was going to be caught. As it hit the ground, he caught the ball.
Well, he did it textbook.
And he was out by a mile.
Yes, the ball beats the runner, no question.
Maybe if it was a bang-bang play, I could understand an overturn. Maybe. But he was out by a mile. There's no reason to overturn that call. That was stupid. Now, the only thing I don't like what Hedges said, he went on and on, defended his teammates, bumped up the team. Don't say it cost you the game. Because that didn't force Zach Plesac to give up a 2-run homer to some rookie who's barely been in the big leagues.
Right.
Whose name is escaping
Carpenter.
me right now. Carpenter, thank you. You got to get out of the inning. Get out of the inning. It's one run, and maybe it's a different game. They lost the game. In the 9th inning, when they had the runner at third, by the way, did you like the Hedges bunt, sack bunt?
So I actually had formulated a text to you.
Yeah.
And I was going to wait to send it until they scored the run. So I was going to say, see, Bull, they sacrifice bunt.
Yeah.
They get the tying run. They didn't finish the deal. They couldn't get the ball out of the infield with one out.
Right.
I love the idea for Hedges to drop a bunt. And
Because he can't hit.
Because he can't hit.
Right. The only problem, though, is Miles Straw can't hit either.
Whoa.
Yes, I know.
But you only need a sack fly in that situation.
Right.
It's unfortunate that Quan wasn't up with one out. And I know I said that earlier, and somebody was like, well, he hit a ground ball, it wouldn't have mattered. Quan would have come up with it. If Quan's up with the runner on third, 2 outs, he's looking to get the ball to the outfield.
Different scenario
I would have let Hedges swing for the fences. He's shown time and time again. How clutch he is.
So I'm glad that I can't believe yesterday we actually had an argument about when you should bunt and when you don't.
Yeah.
And there we were, and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, he's got to square.
He's got
to square.
I didn't hate it in that situation because he's a poor hitter.
If it's anybody but Hedges, if your batting average is not 200, then the analytics tell you do have a better chance with a bunt.
I would have been okay with that with Hedges, and certainly I would have been in the same situation with Straw and Quan coming up next. Is when I really would have done it.
You know what surprised me was how good a bunt Hedges put down.
Yeah.
I mean, he's clearly.
Well, he better be able to bunt.
That's exactly right.
But then Straw strikes out on a pitch that was originally called a foul ball. On replay, it was clearly an out. The catcher
right
caught
call
the ball.
Eventually was made.
Yeah, but Francona went nuts, which I get it. It was about the first inning that he was going nuts.
Okay,
though.
yeah, and also here's another thing that I think why he went nuts. The umpire changed his call. So the umpire originally rules that the ball, which was foul tipped, hit the ground before the catcher caught it. Mm-hmm. So he called it a foul tip. Then he does the right thing. He looks at the baseball, okay? Is there dirt on it? Then he also brings the umpires together. They're the only guys that had the good view. When you're the home plate umpire, you're going off sound. Do you hear two sounds?
Right.
Do you hear the ball hit the bat and the ball hit the ground? The umpire said, I did hear the ball hit the ground, but it hit the ground with the catcher's glove underneath it.
Right.
And then what I didn't like in the post-game pool answer from the umpire actually said, well, the catcher did say that he caught the ball.
Oh, that shouldn't matter.
What the hell difference does that make?
He said that?
Of course that's what he's
in
going
his
to
post-game
say.
comments, and I'm like, I'm with everything except for that. But by the way, this guy, first of all, he made the right call. New York overturned him.
Right.
On the play at home plate.
Yes.
But I just thought that things came off the rails after that. So Terry comes out to argue after they changed the call.
Right.
Terry was arguing, he thought that something else happened. Terry was, and at that point he said, I didn't care. I was more upset about what happened in the first inning.
Sure.
Terry Francona never gets ejected. Very, very rarely will he get ejected.
Right.
He knew he had to get ejected in that situation because the fans that are watching this game, it wasn't just the play in the first inning. On the play at second base where they called the base runner out, Quan, I think, stole second base.
Right.
He was safe.
Yeah.
I did not see definitive evidence that he was out. I just didn't.
Yeah, I thought he was safe too.
And they blew that call. And Matt Underwood immediately said, I'll never understand this. And as I'm watching it, I actually told my son, who's in from New York, I said, watch, they're going to get this wrong. Because those are the plays they always get wrong.
I don't understand. To me, they screw this up in football too. The point of replay to me was not to break it down. It was to get the obvious mistakes right.
Absolutely.
The obvious mistakes.
Right.
If I have to look at it for more than 15 seconds, then I'm moving, as G. Bush would say, keep it moving,
Yes.
let's go.
Right.
That's, to me, why we wanted replay is because we'd see a controversial play in a game that was so wrong. You'd be like, oh, my God.
and by
it's
the way,
not to
Bull,
break it down frame by frame.
The way that the game played out,
Yeah.
Rosario, who was the next hitter, who was hitting during when Quan got thrown out,
Right.
leads off the next inning with a triple.
Right, exactly. And you never know what would have happened.
You don't know. But I mean, if the game plays out, then the Guardians. I just felt like yesterday was one of the ugliest losses of the season.
It was a snake bit loss, and it was tough to lose.
Especially to the Tigers.
I can sympathize with people who say that play cost you the game, right? When you playing at the highest levels and you playing at the most competitive level where there's not that much of a difference between you and a bad player or you and a great player, hell yeah, one play can lose you the game.
Yeah, I know what Bull's saying. It is a bad look when you say it cost us the game.
Right.
Now, that run was pivotal for a lot of reasons. One, it shouldn't have been a run, and they lost by 1 run.
Yeah.
Right.
Secondly, the next hitter hit a home run.
Right.
So even if he would have led off the next inning with a home run, it's still the difference of 1 run, Bull.
Yep.
True, but
it
you
is
never
a
know
bad
how the
look.
game would have gone
it's
from
something
there.
that a loser does after a
I
game.
don't like
Say,
that.
otherwise we would have won the game. You had opportunities to make up for that,
And you're playing the
didn't
Tigers.
do it.
I agree with that, Jay.
I always remember this. When in the 2018 finals, LeBron gets 50, like 12, 11. He's played against the greatest team of all time. He comes down.
He played against the Bulls. And the
Questionable. Yeah, I say.
No, he's playing against the 18 Warriors.
Questionable.
He goes to the rack, and he gets an and one, and they wave it off. they not only wave it off, they call it charge.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And this is like seconds to go.
Right.
It was on Kevin Durant. They would have been at the other line shooting free throws. They overturn the play, give the ball back to the Warriors, and people are like, well, J.R. Smith, people remember because J.R. Smith got the ball and didn't shoot it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that was the game. It was over.
No. The game was over if George Hill hits those 2 free throws.
Right. Ultimately,
That
though,
happened too. That happened too. But to G. Bush's point, see, that's why it's so hard to say, well, otherwise we win the game, unless it's the last play of the game.
Because you never know how it's going to turn out. And I remember a couple of years ago when when the Browns played the Seahawks and lost the game, and there were some bad calls that went against the Browns, and Baker blamed the refs, and I didn't like it. I just think it distracts you when you're so. You can't worry about the refs, right?
No.
Callie Brownson was on with us earlier. She said, hey, we're going to control what we can control. That's it.
Yeah,
you can't worry.
it
sucks when there's a bad call against you. It sucks.
What's Hedges' fine going to be?
25.
10,000, 25,000?
Yeah, I do. Even though I don't like that one part, I do. I know people feel like I pick on Hedges. I don't think he's a major league player. He deserves to be a major. I just don't think he's
beloved
good
by
enough
his
hitter.
teammates. By the way,
he's a great teammate, and I'm sure his teammates love that. Major kudos to him. He's an excellent defensive player. They ultimately didn't trade at that position because they like how he manages the pitching staff. I get it. I just think, his offensive game just kills him at times. But he, listen, I don't.
What will he be fined?
Personally.
You want to guess?
10
I think
grand.
it's gonna be more than that.
25.
I think
He don't make a lot of money. Well, he
he's
does.
$4 million.
He does, I guess.
He's around $4 million.
25.
4 million.
25.
It'll probably be 25. And you know what? I bet his teammates offer to kick in
If you got fined for doing
because they
something,
loved what he said.
If you got fined for doing something in the league, I always wondered this. Would your wife say something to you?
Yes.
Like if you got fined for saying something.
Did you have fined that?
Yeah, don't make me cuss. No. I was an undrafted guy.
Richard Sherman have picked it up.
He got into a full fight.
No, would he have picked up your fine?
Oh, yeah. The coaches said that if it was something that they agreed with, they'd pay the fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Interesting. That's
they would
interesting.
say that.
That's crazy.
I think though the takeaway from that is it's what they do today, and my hope is that Terry getting thrown out put a fire under the team. Hedges' comments after the game put a fire under the team.
Yeah.
And also the players know that these were all 3 bad calls. 2 of them were bad calls. I hope that they come out today, beat the pants off the Tigers. They should. And
They need to.
And
You can't
they
lose 3 or 4 to
absolutely
the
have to
Tigers.
win today.
Yeah.
We're gonna have
They're a game up now
Yeah.
in the Central.
We got
getting close.
Squeeze top 5. Squeeze it.
Squeeze it in. Squeeze that
top
top 5 in.
We're
Let's
going to
do
do
it.
top 5, then final takes. As always, Ultimate 5 is sponsored by Roundstone Insurance. Roundstone offers a better alternative for affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money, an average of 20%. Yeah, 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too. And here's Devin Ribley with a new jingle.
Wake me up to go to Roundstone. Health insurance is their pride and joy, yo. Wake me up to go to Roundstone. Get those savings tonight.
That's
Eddie
damn
without the
good.
sunglasses.
Hit that high.
That's Eddie without the sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't
Go
that
to
the same
Roundstone.
guy?
Nope.
Nice job.
That's damn good. That's damn good.
They look
Great.
They look like cousins.
They're
I
cousins.
think.
It's Eddie without the sunglasses.
Isn't that the
Isn't
same?
that the same
It
guy?
is
No,
not. It's
Eddie's
Devin
a little
Ribley.
bit of a
Don't hang
bigger
out with
dude,
cousins.
I think.
I mean, they both have the ginger
cousins.
beards.
Guys, love it.
Very similar. Keep them
Keep them
coming.
coming from
That was
everybody.
good,
I love
yeah.
it.
Hey, that was dope. That was
That was
good.
really good.
That was good.
They're both good. Both can sing. We got
They're
11
brothers.
minutes.
Yeah, they got to be.
We're going to do top 5 super quick and then final takes. We're going to run through it.
Yeah. Okay.
We knew today as a pack show, so we did a top 5 we could run through quickly. The 5 best flavors of ice cream. So let's just get
5
to
best
it.
flavors of ice
Better
cream.
be caramel fudge brownie from
Number 5,
Mitchell.
Neapolitan. Let's knock out all the basics in one. Just
Yeah.
knock it out. And this was
You
a
could argue it's
collective.
3 flavors, but it is one.
This
It
is a
is brand- it
collective,
is
by
name.
the way,
It's
a
name.
collective production
Okay.
top 5 here today. All right, Steve,
ahead.
let's go right to number 4 here. It's the Earl
Oh.
Special.
Ooh,
the
wow, I
butter
love butter
pecan.
pecan.
Oh,
That's for old people.
I love it. Like I said, I love butter pecan.
That's for old people.
all my aunts that's over the 70 years old,
what
give
they
me that butter
Butter
pecan.
pecan, butter pecan.
Nuts and ice
It is
cream.
good though.
Butter pecan.
Inappropriate nuts and ice cream. Go ahead.
All right, let's go on to number 3 here.
I love Bulls rules.
Got it.
They're so
Cookies and
arbitrary.
cream.
That's a good one.
It should have been one.
Delicious
That's a
ice
good
cream
one.
flavor.
I'm
know
very,
what?
I'm very interested in what
You'll
number
never
1 is.
have order regret. if
Never.
you go with
That's a-
cookies. So if
Never.
you're on
That's
the
a fact.
fence, go cookies and cream. You'll
Every
never
time.
By the way,
have
it's
order
top
regret.
5 now. We're getting Mitchell's on the way home.
Look.
No doubt.
I might stop by there myself.
Number 2, let's go to it. Chocolate peanut butter. The
Nah.
single
Not a
greatest
fan of
dessert
that.
combo. of
I
all
don't like
time.
peanut butter.
That's
I don't like peanut butter
that-
ice cream.
That's a niche market right here. That's a niche.
Hey, we all voted on this,
kinda looks
and
like
we made
poop.
a collective top 5.
I
That
don't
was
know
number 2.
about that one. I like chocolate and peanut butter, but I take cookies and cream over that for sure.
No doubt.
First of all, can we take one more shot of that, of number 2?
Yeah, the number
You guys
two.
ever been to a parade?
Yes.
Yeah, that
You know
picture
when the
looks a little
horses are
gnarly.
walking down
Oh,
the That's what
please.
it looks like poop.
Go.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Does look like poop. Yeah.
Listen, we're under a time
like road
crunch. Let's keep
apples.
the poop comments to ourselves. All right, number 1. This was actually unanimous between the 3 of us.
Go ahead.
The number 1 ice cream flavor.
Oh, unquestionably.
Cookie dough.
Or there's one about like some sort of cake batter.
Yeah.
Cake
oh,
batter one is
yeah.
off.
But cake
Yes.
batter is hit or miss. Like
Yeah.
Mitchell's cake batter,
Yes.
elite. You buy it at the store from like an off-brand. Yeah.
Well, that's any ice cream. Mitchell's
I'd-
Elite, everything else.
I'd
a
flip
little-
2 and 3 with it just depends on the day.
Cookie dough's fine.
What are you going to order today?
Oh, definitely cookies and cream.
Yeah, okay, good.
On a waffle cone.
Then we got it right.
And a waffle
Mitchell's had
cone.
chocolate chip in July, and they only had it for July, and I thought it was the best flavor they've ever had. I don't know why they
Wait,
only have it in July.
I thought chocolate chip was a mainstay
I
everywhere.
thought so
thought
too,
so
but it's not.
too.
They have double chocolate chunk,
Yeah.
which is but
Moose
which is
tracks. I like
You
that.
don't
Mitchell's
like
has
the, you
Mitchell.
don't like the caramel fudge brownie.
I don't. I'm weird. I don't like caramel. I don't like peanut butter.
And don't put nuts in
Period.
his ice cream.
And don't put nuts in my ice cream. Keep your nuts to yourself, will you?
All right, let's do final takes.
Here
Jay,
we go.
Jay, do you want to start today? You got cut off twice in a row
Yeah,
now.
go ahead, Jay. Start us off.
Yeah, I will. We kind of talked about it. It was my final take yesterday was going to be on analytics in baseball and how much I hate it. I just think that, and before anybody that's a seam head kills me that, well, that's where the game is. I understand that's what's happened to baseball, and it's not going away. I just think that sabermetrics is a great tool for telling you what's already happened. It's a great way of seeing the past. I don't think they're good and necessarily the best way to predict what's going to happen in the future. So a guy hits 282 with 18 home runs and 59 RBI. He'll never do that again in his career. And in all likelihood, he'll never be close to all 3 of those metrics. And if you just go solely off numbers, I pulled some numbers off Zach Plesac just because he pitched last night. And honestly, when I watch Zach, he's not a bad pitcher. His stuff looks the same this year to me as it did last year. But here's where numbers can screw you up. He's 2-11 this year.
Yeah, but that's not sabermetrics.
No, but I know what they're not. I'm just showing you why numbers, you can't rely on numbers.
Right.
He's 2-11 this year. Before this year, he was a collective 22-14. That's Cy Young caliber numbers. 22-14. His ERA is almost exactly the same.
Yeah, but I don't think any of those numbers matter because I think I agree with you. Sabermetrics suck in terms of the way we manage the game.
Yes.
But where they're helpful is it teaches us what stats really matter, and wins and losses are irrelevant.
What I think they are too, and I think for me, for a pitcher, I look at WHIP, I look at batting average against, but I'm most interested in WHIP. I want to know.
How I decide what free agents I'm picking up in fantasy baseball.
Well,
WHIP and strikeouts per 9.
You're smart because, in fantasies, the strikeouts are heavily weighted. But my whole point in using the Plesac numbers, I'm just looking at his stuff. When I watch a pitcher pitch, I really don't look at the box score and the numbers. I really don't. I like to predict after the first inning whether the pitcher's going to be around past the 6th. And I got to tell you, I've been doing this for about 15 years where I've been making that prediction. I'm about 90%. Because it's what the guy comes out of the bullpen with to start the game. What's his stuff? Is he locating? Is he changing speeds? Is he picking his spots? Is he missing his spots? If he is, this guy's going to make it through 6 innings. With Zach Plesac, I keep watching him, scratching my head, saying he's the same guy, essentially. He's not doing much different. His stuff looks the same to me. His ERA is almost identical. 22-14, 2-11. Now, I know run support has a lot to do with that. I'm just using one example of numbers of how they can screw you up and paint the wrong picture. And that's why I'm hesitant to let numbers drive the majority of the decisions for managers. I think Tito has it perfect. He uses the numbers. They pass him the numbers every day. He looks at them. He consumes them. He uses them where they're appropriate, and he discards them where he thinks they're garbage or where he has a gut. And I think, unfortunately,
it's got to be a mix.
Managers today, when they're hired primarily on their willingness to use numbers that the front office gives him during the game. And that's a big whiff because Tito's the best in the game right now, and he does it right. That's my rant on numbers.
G?
Oh, your mind's is quick, man. So you know how when you used to watch something when you was younger, right, and you really didn't know what you was watching? So I don't know if I've ever saw this before. I'm into watching disturbing scenes and figuring out why inside I feel these scenes are disturbing. And I came across one, a very disturbing one. The original RoboCop, when Murphy gets killed, that is very disturbing.
Certainly was.
It was very gory. I don't remember getting that off when I was younger. I was like 10 or something. I was kind of scarred a little bit last night when I watched that. He suffered a gruesome fate. And I didn't know RoboCop was that horrific. The first one, I thought it was more slapstick. I thought it was Beverly Hills Cop or something, but not.
Banana in the tailpipe?
Yeah, I just got fooled, and quite disturbing.
You're watching that at 10, bro.
I've never watched that movie.
The first RoboCop, go watch it. It's kind of crazy.
Epic, and
I
he's
wonder
right.
if it's a little dated now. I haven't seen it in so many years.
I bet parts of it are.
Yeah, parts of it. The CGI effects with the machines are kind of a little dated.
Stuff,
But it's jarring. It's jarring. Wow. Yeah, it is. Go watch it.
I might have to go check it out.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to be quick with mine today, too. Mine is on so when I was at Ohio State, Urban brought in this guy by the name of Tim Kite. A lot of people are familiar with Tim Kite. He's the person that created the E+R=O. And when I first got into a meeting room as a 18, 19-year-old kid, I said, this is some bull job. I'm not about to, what is this? But then as I went through life, I understood that he's right. You can't control what's going to happen, but you can control how you're going to respond. And you can respond in a positive way or a negative way. And in my life, I've learned to respond to everything in a positive way. Why? Because in a negative way, it doesn't help the situation. It's only going to make the situation worse. So I'm here today to tell you that whatever life throws at you, you can choose to try to make the best of everything and be optimistic. And that's how I choose to live my life. And I just wanted to let y'all know that you can too.
Explain the E+R=O.
So events. So life throws events at you. So for example, you get fired.
Like Urban did last year.
Yeah, you get fired.
We should all be fired like that.
So how you choose to respond to it, the R stands for response. Your reaction to it. You can be like, man, forget this job, man. Forget everybody in here. Like that type of stuff. Or you could be like, you know what? Another opportunity is going to come. Obviously, there's something else out there that I should be doing. This obviously isn't it. That's the positive way to do it, and that affects that's the outcome. The outcome is, after all of that goes down, how your life is affected afterwards.
Live my life that exact way, and it's a great way to live.
It is.
You're right. Choose positive.
Guys, today is the anniversary of the release of two of the greatest comedies ever. In 1989, on this day, Uncle Buck came out. And in 2007...
That movie sucked.
What?
I ain't never watched
What? Are you out of your mind?
What's in 2007?
And 2007 on this day, Superbad came out.
Okay,
that was great.
I get after that one.
How have you not like Uncle Buck? The first person I ever met didn't like Uncle Buck. You are out of your mind. That scene, have you seen Uncle Buck?
A TBS matinee.
You can't be watching TBS matinee. They cut out the curses. What's the matter with you?
It's just bad, bro.
All right, despite these guys' bad taste, Uncle Buck, for anybody with taste, is a great movie. He has so many hilarious lines. He punches a clown in the face. He tells a woman to get her birthmark gnawed off her face by a rat. This is hilarious, and these guys are idiots. And Superbad is an iconic introduction to that group of movies in the last 15 years. Kudos to two great movies and to these two idiots with bad
McLovin, Superbad, I'm with you on. It never lets me down.
Like Uncle Buck.
But Uncle Buck, it's not on anybody's list of favorite movie ever.
89.
McNuggets wants to say something.
I just want to add one thing before we go. Superbad is elite, and Friday, CC Sabathia in studio.
That's
Y'all
awesome.
ready for that?
That's elite.
I called one of his first professional games ever.
I wonder if he'll remember
1989.
that.
No chance.
And by the way,
Find tape of that.
And by the way, we'll see how tall CC
1999,
Sabathia really is.
6'7".
He's massive.
Because come to find
a
out,
monster.
In person, people keep walking up to me and be like, G. Bush, I didn't know you were that tall. I was like,
No, you will be shocked at how big
CC
Sabathia
Sabathia is
6'7",
big.
And he's
bills.
trimmed down, too. Like,
That's true. He
he
lost
tall
weight.
is
Hey,
great.
Brad here that day. How tall is Brad?
7 foot.
7 feet.
Brad's a real 7-footer.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
All right, we're out of time. We're really keeping our finger on the pulse of this Deshaun Watson story. I personally think we're going to hear something today, but I said we were going to hear something last Friday, so don't listen to me. But if it does come today, if it does happen today, we're going to bust into your regularly scheduled programming, which is Color Bars, and we're going to give you our reaction to the Deshaun Watson decision, which is expected either today or tomorrow, depending on who you listen to. In the meantime, we're on a 22-hour break. We'll see you tomorrow for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. There they are. I'm telling you, all he did was shave the beard and turn it down to a goatee and put sunglasses
They
on.
look like they related, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. And they're both good singers, and hopefully they give us many more jingles.
And keep sending them in.
Keep sending them in. Keep sending them in. We love them. Back in 22 hours. See ya.